Imagine a world where everyone has a tumor growing from their head, and the moment emotions spiral completely out of control, that tumor violently explodes. To survive, Chong Imo has spent his entire life suppressing every outburst, enduring the madness of everyone around him. But today, something shifted, all because of her. For the first time, he witnessed a completely different outcome. Instead of dying, the headless President Zhong turned into a monster, and it was that very woman who pointed it out. The one who'd been calm and rational the entire time is actually the most infected of them all. It all began when Chong Imo was just 10. That was the first time he saw a tumor on his mother's head. He thought it was just a hallucination, a side effect of grief after losing his father. But then his mom started losing her temper more and more, and the tumor just kept growing until one day, it exploded. It wasn't until years later that Chong Imo learned this was a disease, a condition known as emotion sickness. From that moment on, he never allowed himself to get angry again. But today, a single sentence from that woman shattered his control, because for the first time, he heard the true cause of his mother's death. It happened during a company party at Skybound Studios. The art department director, Zhang Yanfei, blew up over a seeded watermelon and warm wine, cursing at his assistant. But the assistant, Wu Jingjing, snapped back. Then don't eat it. You have so many problems. Just go die. That outburst sparked a chain reaction. Can you all shut up? It's a party, not a damn battleground. Trying to calm things down, Chong Imo quickly stepped in. Let's cool off, Director Zhong. I'll get you a new drink and watermelon. Jingjing, I apologize on his behalf. But without warning, Zhong smashed a wine bottle over his head. The hell does this have to do with you? The room fell into dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. And just like that, the tantrum faded, and Zhong Yanfei regained his calm. Director Zhong clung to Chong Imo, apologizing over and over. Only when Chong Imo calmly said, "It's really fine," did he finally let go. As long as everyone calms down. Soon, the party was back in full swing. Laughter returned. Meanwhile, Chong Imo stood in the corner, quietly wiping blood from his forehead. Yili, a co-worker who always flirted with him, blinked in disbelief. That's it? You're just gonna let it go? You're something else. He gave a helpless smile. What choice do I have? I'm probably the only normal one in this entire department. Besides, you've seen it too, right? The real reason they all lose control are the strange sacs growing on their heads, aren't they? Then, Director Jean started another shouting match with someone else. And this time, the tumor on his head had grown much bigger. It was on the verge of exploding. Chong and Imo sighed and stepped forward again, ready to intervene. But Yili stopped him with a sharp observation. You don't actually care if they live or die, do you? He paused, then replied flatly, no? But if someone dies, it becomes a huge mess. The very next second, Zhang's tumor reached its limit, and instead of dying, he transformed into a terrifying, monstrous creature. That scene shattered everything Zhang Emma thought he knew. The man arguing with Director Zhang shouted, "You think barking like a dog scares me?" Before he could finish, his upper body vanished instantly. Chaos erupted. Screams filled the air as everyone scrambled to escape. But Chong Imo stood frozen, still trying to make sense of what he just saw. Why did Chong turn into a monster? But my mom died when hers exploded. Eli noticed his daze and quickly pulled him away. Come on, we've got to move. Didn't you know? When those sacs burst, people don't die, they become emotion monsters, creatures completely consumed by their feelings. And through them, they can unleash supernatural powers to vent their rage and pain. Then why did my mom die? He pressed. Eli only said, just wait. You'll see soon enough. Sure enough, Zhang's head exploded again. And this time, he didn't get back up. He collapsed to the ground, motionless. The crowd stood in stunned silence. Did you guys see that? Director Zhang's head. It just exploded out of nowhere. Chong Yimo furrowed his brows. Wait, they really didn't see it? Yili nodded. That's right. Normal people can't see any of it. Not Zhang's monstrous transformation. Not the creature that devoured his very head. None of it. And that is how your mother truly died. Just like Zhang. She mutated into an emotion monster, only to be devoured by another. To be more precise, though, she was eaten by someone who controls emotion monsters. These creatures, they're spiritually linked to their masters. Track the monster, and you'll find the true puppet master. Then, Chong Mo's eyes suddenly widened. The man standing near Zhang's body looked familiar. Wait, wasn't that Lu Jia? My childhood neighbor. Yi Li's face darkened. Correct. On the surface, he's now the vice president of Lang Chao International. But behind the scenes, he commands emotion monsters to devour humans. This whole incident, all orchestrated by him. He spreads devastating emotional viruses, driving people into absolute frenzies. And once they mutate into emotion monsters, he hunts them down to feed his own power. From the moment you stepped into this party, you walked straight into his hunting ground. And based on my intel, his first prey was your mother. Your mother? She lost control because he infected her with an anger-based emotional virus. Then, he let his emotion monster devour her. The man who destroyed your family was him. But to Yi Li's surprise, NgocMy didn't explode with rage. Instead, he calmly asked, so he only targets people who've already mutated into emotion monsters. Once she confirmed it, NgocMy turned to leave. Then I'm safe. I'll never be infected because I'm always rational. Eli blinked in disbelief. That's it? You're walking away? He killed your mother. Aren't you going to do anything? But NgocMy stayed calm. Charging in now would be suicide. And this? This was all just information. Wow, you're disturbingly calm. But let me ask you, what makes you think you're not sick? NgocMy froze in place. What are you saying? I'm saying you're actually the most infected one of all. And in that moment, a massive tumor emerged, pulsing ominously above NgocMy's head. From the very beginning, Lujia's true target was you. The one he's most desperate to mutate. The one he wants to devour most. Is you. Just then, Lujia casually strolled over, casually patting NgocMy on the shoulder. Hey there, little Chong. Long time no see. Look at you, all grown up. NgocMy calmly turned around. Sorry, but you must have the wrong person. Lujia chuckled. Haha. Always the funny one. Come on. Let's catch up a bit. I know this might sound rude, but could you do me a little favor? Would you mind getting angry? He said, before suddenly driving a hard kick into NgocMy's gut, sending him flying several meters back. The noise instantly drew the attention of nearby employees. What the hell? Did he just hit Chong? I didn't catch it. What happened? Seriously, after what happened to Director Zhang, this guy starts even more drama. Ili rushed over and helped him up. Are you okay? Lujia sneered. TCH, no reaction. You really don't give a damn about yourself, huh? In that case, with a snap of his fingers, sparks began to flicker on the body of a nearby colleague. And in the next moment, the entire person burst into flames. The sudden blaze sent the crowd into a panic. What's going on? That side's on fire too. Could it be a gas leak? Lujia smirked darkly. I just burned your co-workers alive. Does that make you angry? Weren't they always nice to you? Didn't expect you to be just 18. So young, already working. Want me to set you up with someone? My sister's still in college. Or hey, if you don't mind, I could do. I'm only a year older. Haha, kidding. Or am I, little Chong? Let's grab lunch later, alright? Don't worry about the bill. I already paid. You're just starting out after all. Even as they were being reduced to burnt husks, their final words were Chong. One by one, they were all consumed by the flames, leaving nothing behind. But in Lujia's eyes, it was no different from squashing ants. They're all ashes now, and you're still not reacting. You really are something. But don't bother lying to me. I can see it. Your rage sac is swelling. No rush. Take your time. After all, I haven't even told you the best part yet. I'm the one who killed your mom. Let's see just how long you can keep up this charade. Deep down, NgocMy always knew his calm facade was just that, a facade. Whether it was his emotionally unstable co-workers, or those random strangers just itching for a fight, he constantly felt the urge to lash out, to explode, to tear them apart. But he never, ever acted on it, because he knew their outbursts, their rage, wasn't truly intentional. The guilt in their eyes, the regret that always followed the rage. It always triggered searing memories from his own past. The image of his mother, crying and apologizing after every single episode, losing control, drowning in overwhelming emotions. All it ever led to was utter, crushing regret. That's why he kept himself chained, suppressed, repeating to himself, stay calm, stay rational. That's how it had always been. But now, what reason did he have to stay rational anymore? Why not just give in? Become a true monster. Tear Lujia to pieces, and finally avenge his mother and friends. It's not like he had anything left to lose, right? But then why? Why was he still holding back? Why hadn't he transformed, despite being utterly consumed by rage? Yi Li's eyes widened in pure shock. You want to mutate? If you do that, you'll be killed. And what? Not mutating means I'll survive, huh? Chong Imo growled. Then I might as well lose it completely and go down swinging. Yi Li fell silent, her voice heavy with palpable regret. I know it's hard to hear, but the truth is, you can't mutate. Not anymore. Lu Jia glanced over, visibly annoyed. Seriously? Is he still muttering to himself? What is he doing, trying to talk himself down? Fine. Guess it's time I taught you a real lesson. But his words suddenly struck a profound chord in Chong Mo's mind. Self-talk. Wait just a minute. You finally realized it. In the very next moment, Yi Li began to shift, her form subtly fading. The entire illusion unraveling before his eyes, right from the very beginning. You were the only one who could truly see me. Chong Mo's mind raced, struggling to make sense of this sudden revelation. But before he could even react, Lu Jia's devastating attack was already crashing down. Suddenly, inexplicably, Lu Jia froze solid. His eyes widened in utter shock as he stared, transfixed, ahead. In Chong Mo's mind, Yi Li's voice suddenly echoed, chillingly clear. The reason you couldn't transform before is because, the moment you saw me, you were already infected. Infected by me, you became an emotion monster of rationality. Lu Jia's jaw literally dropped to the floor as he saw what now stood before him. A creature bound tightly in heavy, clanking chains, with a horrifying, pitch-black void where its face should be. What the heck is that thing? Even Chong Imo stood stunned. That thing was his very own emotion monster. Wait, rationality counts as an emotion, and if I transformed ages ago, why can I only see it now? And this woman? I thought she was just a coworker. But she's the one who infected me. The one who caused this whole change. Who is she really? As if reading his thoughts, Yi Li said softly, I know you have questions, but there's no time for all the answers right now. Just know this, rationality is the most unique emotion of all. It has the power to suppress every other emotion, including Lu Jia's rage. And as for why you couldn't see your own emotion monster before, it's simple, she added. In this world, you can only see what you're aware of. Wait, Lu Jia's composure cracked. No, this is bad. His monster isn't clinging to him. It's standing far away. That means he's not a slave to it. He's like me. He's become an emotive entity, someone who controls the monster. But don't get cocky just yet. Lu Jia sneered. You think a freshly awakened monster like yours can take me on? With a roar, Lu Jia launched a blazing fireball straight at Chong Imo. But the very next second, his eyes widened in shock. The attack passed right through Chong. Imo looked just as confused. But Yi Li quickly explained. You can't control your emotion monster yet. That means it can't interact with the real world. Right now, it's more like a projection. It's not truly here, not physically. Lu Jia's eyes narrowed as realization dawned. So that thing's still trapped in your mindscape. You haven't synced with it at all. Chong Imo, you're dead. With another snarl, he hurled a second fireball, but this one was different. It shifted in midair, transforming into a flaming beast that bit down on Chong Imo's head. And yet, something was wrong. No matter how hard it bit, the fire creature couldn't pierce Chong Imo's skull at all. From the side, Yi Li calmly explained. Because you've suppressed your anger for so long. Your rationality has built an incredibly high resistance to rage. That kind of attack? It's like a mere tickle to you. Now, it was Lu Jia's turn to truly panic. You arrogant bastard, don't get cocky with me. He shouted, he roared, and sent the flaming beast soaring high into the air, dragging Chong Imo right up with it. Chong Imo realized, his attacks can't hurt me, but I still can't control my own monster. Which means I'm completely stuck on defense. But Yan called out, the solution is simple, just borrow power from your emotion monster. And in the very next instant, under Lu Jia's stunned gaze, Chong Imo unleashed a potent blast of rationality, detonating the flaming creature into 1,000 glittering sparks. Lu Jia himself was violently blown backwards, crashing hard onto the ground. Meanwhile, Chong Imo landed effortlessly, completely unscathed and utterly triumphant. In his hand, a shard of borrowed power from his rational emotion monster. Sharp, steady, and devastatingly precise. Lu Jia was in full panic now. I get it. He borrowed power from his emotion monster, but just 2 fingers, and he shattered my monster? No way. He's a newly awakened emotional entity. There's no way. I need to escape. If I can just get off this boat. Run. But there was no way Chong Imo was letting him go. In the very next second, he launched forward, charging straight at Luja like a speeding bullet. Still, a question lingered in his mind. Wait, didn't I destroy his emotion monster? Then how is he still using fire-based attacks? Yan answered calmly. Emotion monsters don't die so easily. They simply stop existing in this world for now. Meanwhile, the chase had taken them outside, onto the deck. It was only now that Chong Yemo realized they were on a massive, luxury cruise ship, the world-famous Sea Emperor. And at that very moment, the Sea Emperor was sailing through the coastal waters, just off Donghai City. Just then, Yan urgently warned. Chasing down an emotional entity on this cruise ship is incredibly dangerous. According to public info, the Sea Emperor is a world-famous cruise liner. Its routes span the globe. And right now, it's docked off the coast of Donghai City, one of the hottest tourist spots around. Especially after Donghai's waters turned pitch black from the oil disaster. Only a select handful of vessels are ever allowed in here. And the Sea Emperor, of course, is one of them. Skybound Group really went all out, didn't they? Hosting a lavish department party for your art team right here. But here's the thing. This ship isn't merely a resort. It's entirely run by powerful emotional entities. They trade, live, and are served exclusively within its walls. One of their premium, exclusive services? Hunting regular humans. So, attacking an emotion body right here. That's like picking a direct fight with the Sea Emperor's owners. And Lu Jiao? He's considered one of their VIP elites. How powerful is this ship's security? Put it this way, one wrong move from the wrong guy, and you're dead. So finish this quickly. Because if you don't, you'll never get another chance again. And you cannot afford the fallout. At his words, Chong Mo's eyes sharpened. He surged forward like a bullet, a blur of motion, blasting directly toward Lu Jiao with everything he had. Meanwhile, inside the Sea Emperor's lavish VIP lounge, a few distinguished guests were admiring a grotesque art piece, made entirely of a young girl's bones. Chillingly, Victor Lee of the Wild Frontier Consortium stood proudly. Allow me to introduce this exquisite work. This is the sad girl after her death. Her skin was meticulously peeled back, revealing a skeleton that ironically appears to be laughing. The stark juxtaposition between death and joy delivers a truly tremendous visual impact. He added with a smirk, but here's the special part. This isn't a replica. It's a real girl. And not just anyone. She was the daughter of a prime minister. Today, I present this gift to the Sea Emperor. Thank you for facilitating our most promising partnership. Captain Liu Yang responded courteously. Your group just secured the Stalnik market. And you've already sent over the prime minister's daughter? Ruthless, yet impressive. Anna Chris of the Ugly Duckling Survival Club took a slow drag of her cigarette. I'd heard the prime minister was unwilling to cooperate, but this, I've got to admit, that's creative punishment. Miss Song Hui Hui, second daughter of the powerful Song family from Deja, nodded in admiration. Say what you will. This is real taste. To become art of this caliber, that girl should feel honored. Zhao Yan, the bishop of the Black Chain cult in Donghai, chuckled. I'm curious, you're already in Dacia? Victor Lee shrugged. That's business. Evolve or die. With the competition heating up, we've got to hit them fast. And Dasha? I'm counting on your full cooperation. Suddenly, a voice sharply cut through. My lords, Luja has already taken out Skybound Groups, our director, but there's been a slight complication. He got cocky, trying to hunt a second target. But that prey mutated and is now beating Luja half to death. Miss Song Hui Hui scoffed. Useless trash, if he weren't tied to that esteemed figure. Do you really think a weakling like him would ever be allowed to hunt freely on this ship? Victor Lee raised an eyebrow, intrigued. This esteemed figure, you all keep mentioning. Who is it exactly? Song Hui Hui replied coolly. For the sake of smooth cooperation, I'd suggest not asking too many questions. Captain Liu Yang chimed in. To overpower Luja right after transforming. That's quite the talent. Fine then. Don't let Luja die just yet. He's only a pawn, clueless as he may be. But we owe that figure some respect, also. Lock down the deck. No other emotion entities are to approach. Let the regular people run if they want. As for the one attacking Luja, no known background? Wipe him out. Back on deck, Luja was already bloodied, battered, barely breathing, and barely conscious. And just as Chong Mo prepared to deliver the finishing blow, Luja cried out in panic. Are you insane? You're really going to kill me here on this ship? Seeing that Chong Mo wasn't backing down, Luja panicked. Wait. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Spare me, and I'll do anything you want. But Chong Mo's steps didn't falter. His eyes cold as steel, Luja screamed, "Your mother! I know who really killed your mother. If you kill me, you'll never find out the truth." He thought that would be enough to stop Chong Yimou. He even felt a moment of relief, until, in the blink of an eye, Chong Mo's claw tore straight into his arm. After venting his fury, Chong Yimou growled, "It wasn't you who killed my mother?" No. It's not what you think," Luja shouted back. "Back when you lived in Old Street, there was an emotional entity living there. He spread emotion sickness in secret, then hunted the newly awakened emotion monsters. I was infected by him. That's how I became one of them. But he didn't kill me. He stabilized me and made me his servant. He then forced me to infect others, pushing them into a horrifying transformation, only to kill them afterward. He harvested their emotional energy to grow stronger himself." Chong Yimou narrowed his eyes. "Then who is he, and where is he now?" Lu Jia suddenly broke into a crazed laughter. "Haha, he's someone untouchable now. If he finds out you killed me, you're dead too." "He is." But right before the name escaped his lips, Lu Jia froze, his face twisted in pure terror. "No, I can't. If I say it, that man, he'll never let me live." Chong Yimou had had enough. With a cold glare, he raised his deadly claws, ready to finish Lu Jia once and for all. But just as the strike was about to land, a mysterious figure appeared out of thin air, a sharply dressed butler. His lips moved softly. "I command your heart to stop beating." In the very next moment, Chong Yimou's heart ceased, locked in place by an invisible force. His body stiffened, then dropped lifelessly like a stone to the deck. The butler calmly adjusted his gloves, then turned to Lu Jia and bowed slightly. "Apologies, sir. I arrived late." Realizing the butler was on his side, Lu Jia's confidence surged back instantly. He stomped on Chong Yimou's head and sneered. "What's the matter, huh? Weren't you all high and mighty? Come on, kill me now." But just as the words left his mouth, Chong Yimou twitched. In a flash, he shot upright. This caused Lu Jia to yelp and scramble behind the butler in panic. The butler frowned, visibly confused. "Why are you still alive?" Chong Yimou was just as confused. "What just happened to me?" Thanks to Yi Li's explanation, he finally understood the shocking truth. The butler had used the power of a pride-type emotion monster, issuing a direct command to Chong Yimou's heart. "Stop beating." Chong Yimou's eyes widened. "That's insane. Isn't that basically invincible?" Yuli nodded. "His emotion monster is 2 major tiers above yours. You had no way to resist his command. Unless your emotional alignment wasn't rationality, which naturally resists other emotions. You'd be dead by now. That man is an opponent you simply cannot defeat right now." Chong Yimou frowned. "Then why can't I see his emotion monster?" Yuli replied. "The same reason you couldn't see yours before. His monster is deep within the mind realm, the place where emotion monsters primarily reside. Your monster had lingered near the boundary between the mind realm and the real world, which is why Lu Jia could see it. But once an emotion monster sinks fully into the mind realm, it becomes nearly impossible to detect." At that moment, Lu Jia sneered and turned to the butler. "TCH. This guy's got some luck, not dead yet. Even better, you know what to do, right?" The butler nodded slightly and muttered under his breath, "I command you, kneel." In the next instant, Chong Mo's body buckled. He dropped to his knees without any control. He couldn't move. Not a finger. He couldn't even blink in resistance. Yuli explained quietly. "That's the nature of a pride-type emotion monster. The less harmful the command, the harder it is to resist. And with that level difference, you never stood a chance." Now, that pathetic excuse of a man. Lu Jia strode up to Chong Yimou. Grinning, without a word, he slapped Chong Yimou hard across the face. Then, he leaned in, mocking. "What happened, huh? Weren't you tough? Out for revenge? Your mom was just a bottom feeder. We emotion types can do whatever we want to her. And since you seem so curious, allow me to repay your little outburst earlier by walking you through exactly what happened. The day your mother transformed. I remember it perfectly. The day your mom transformed. She was unusually calm. She wasn't under emotional influence. She bought groceries, cooked dinner, wanted to apologize for losing her temper earlier. Tomato braised beef, right? Your favorite. Too bad the whole floor was soaked in blood. Even the ceiling had splatter. The stew burned to a crisp. She became a target because that lord, casually joked. Why not make the next prey that single mom next door? At first, I objected. Your mom was kind. Back when I was broke, she used to bring me food. But watching her unravel, watching you fall from peace into ruin, I started to revel in that feeling, the power to control someone's life, ripping away their joy. If I command her to transform, she transforms. If I declare her food, then she becomes food. Those words ignited a fire within Chong-Yemo, and fury boiled over. He struggled to rise and rip Lu Jiao apart, but the butler moved first, raising his hand, freezing Chong-Mo's body mid-motion. Then came the next command. I order you kneel. Bow your head, apologize to Lu Jia, and once again, Chong-Yemo collapsed to his knees, his body betraying him, forced to bow and slam his forehead to the ground. At that moment, Lu Jia turned to the butler and said smugly, "That's enough now. I want him to make the choice himself. I'm giving you a chance. Swear loyalty. Become my dog. Bark twice and you live. Otherwise." Suddenly, Yi Li's voice echoed in Chong-Mo's mind. "So what will you do?" He fell silent for a moment, then turned the question back. "Shouldn't I be asking you that? You're the one who made me an emotion monster. You know too much about Lu Jia. This ship, everything. You saw all of this coming, didn't you?" Staring straight into her eyes. His voice was calm but unyielding. "Just tell me what you really want. Whatever it is, I'll do it." Yi Li smiled faintly and stepped forward, wrapping her arms around him from behind. "You only have to do one thing. Accept my power." In the blink of an eye, the smug and taunting Lu Jia was blasted across the deck, sent flying by a terrifying surge of power erupting from Chong-Yemo. A crystalline formation shimmered atop his head, something entirely new, something beyond emotion. Lu Jia and the butler both froze, thinking he had finally lost control. But what they didn't know was that Chong-Mo's consciousness had already descended into a realm of pure void. Sadness, joy, surprise, excitement, none of it remained. All emotion gone. All that was left was cold, perfect calculation. His emotional sack materialized before him, solid, physical and whole, but then it shattered into a million pieces, scattered across the darkness. And from those shards emerged memories. Warm, peaceful moments with his mother. The agonizing pain of his father's funeral. The coffin slowly descending into the cold earth. His mother's breakdowns, her piercing screams, her uncontrollable rage, the sound of shattered dishes. Then her tearful apologies as she held him close, whispering she was sorry. Then her corpse, cold and still, lifeless. And beside it, that monster Lu Jia, smirking like a god. But those memories didn't break him. No, they reforged him. In that desolate space of nothingness, Chong-Yemo evolved. He became something entirely new. Staring at his reflection in the void, Chong-Yemo almost didn't recognize himself. This version of him felt foreign and yet profoundly right. Eli's voice echoed in his mind, calm and knowing. "Good. Your core held enough rage to anchor you. That's the only reason you retained your identity. When channeling my power, remember this. When the moment comes, you must let go of your rationality. That's the only way to wield rational power. Otherwise, it will consume you. You'll become a monster ruled by logic itself. Now, go and enjoy your revenge." As her words faded, the crystalline growth on Chong-Mo's head exploded. Shards of light rained outward like falling stars. Then came the blue flames, surging from his body in waves until they collapsed inward, folding into him, concentrating into a dense aura that made the very air tremble. But seeing his energy suddenly vanish, Lu Jia burst out laughing. "That's it? All that build up, and you just fart out a blue puff? What a damn letdown." But the butler didn't share Lu Jia's smugness. His expression darkened. He knew what had just happened. Chong-Mo's energy hadn't disappeared. No, it had transcended. His emotional power had reached a level so high, they could no longer perceive it. At that very moment, deep within the VIP lounge, the elites aboard the Sea Emperor all felt it. A wave of invisible pressure washing over them. That pressure could only belong to a world-class emotion entity. Victor Lane narrowed his eyes. Didn't expect another world tier aboard. You think they're here for us?" Miss Song Hui speculated. "Could be an ally of the one beating Lu Jia. Or maybe someone targeting that man directly." But Captain Liu Yang stayed utterly unfazed. "There's no need for concern, no matter who they are. If they dare disrespect the Sea Emperor, even a world-class elite won't leave here alive." Back on the deck, Lu Jia's face twisted in disbelief after hearing the butler's words. "His level is beyond our perception? Are you kidding me? Him? That weakling?" The butler spoke grimly. "I don't want to believe it either. But it's the truth. You can't sense it. but I can barely see it. It's above us, like a walking cataclysm. That kind of presence. It's the same as the top-tier elites. That's world-class pressure. The butler yelled, "Run now." But it was already too late. In a blink, Chong Yamo moved. And just like that, both of them were dead, heads ripped clean off like trash. He muttered under his breath. That was too easy. Yi Li's voice echoed with a teasing tone. Starting off by ripping off their heads? A bit dramatic, don't you think? Chong Yamo replied coldly. You're right. I didn't do it well enough. I should have taken my time. Yi Li chuckled. Good. That kind of extremity is exactly what's needed to wield my power. But don't get comfortable just yet. The real show has only just begun. As she spoke, glowing blue emotional currents began to weave beneath Chong Yamo's feet, sprawling outward like a ritual circle. He looked up, and there was a throne. Seated atop it, an emotion monster radiating dominance. Its form exuded a pressure that distorted reality. This wasn't just power, it was sovereignty. Chong Yamo stared at the massive being before him, his voice low and weary. What is that? Yi Li responded coolly. Ever wonder why this ship hasn't taken a scratch during your entire battle with Lu Jia? It's because this ship is an emotion entity. What you're seeing now, that's its true form. In a world of emotional energy, how much you can perceive depends entirely on your power. Right now, you're only seeing this because you're using my strength to barely pierce the veil. This is the real power behind the Sea Emperor. That beast, chained to his throne, is the captain's personal emotion monster. Just then, the captain strode forward, arrogance practically oozing from him. So, you're the world-tier brat who just won't stay dead, huh? Well, let's fix that. In eerie unison with his emotion monster, he began to chant, across the cosmos, between heaven and earth, all transgressions shall be punished. Let all things bow. Let all obey. Any act of defiance shall be paid in blood. Chong Mo's eyes snapped wide. He's using incantations to amplify his command power. The moment the incantation concluded, the captain barked his command. By my decree, condense the space around the intruder. And just like that, a massive sphere of golden energy snapped shut around Chong Yamo, sealing him and his emotion monster inside like a divine prison. But it wasn't over yet. The captain continued his ominous chant. By the golden blade, let judgment be cast. By my decree, within this field, all emotional energy shall be halved. Then, a swarm of golden energy blades rained down, stabbing towards Chong Yamo and his rational emotion monster. Like a divine execution, with a sneer, the captain finally uttered, pathetic. The elites in the VIP lounge nodded in smug agreement. That was fast. This world tier is still green. Strange monster, though. Never seen that type of emotion before. Must be one of those obscure alignments. But with his power halved, even another world tier couldn't recover from this. It's only a matter of time before the captain orders his capture. But just as those words left their mouths, a sharp crack ripped through the air. The golden prison around Chong Yamo started to fracture. The room fell silent, eyes widening in disbelief. Even the ship captain, usually stoic and arrogant, visibly flinched, his pupils narrowing in shock. In the very next second, Chong Mo's emotion monster tore through the golden prison, like it was paper. With a sharp swing of his hand, a torrent of emotional energy erupted from his rational form, crashing down like a roaring waterfall. In an instant, the Sea Emperor vessel was swallowed whole by the blast. The captain stood frozen, eyes wide, completely stunned into silence. Now, only Chong Mo's emotion monster hovered above the waves, riding the violent aftershock. As the chaotic energy began to fade, the captain looked down, his jaw clenched tight. Half of his prized golden energy construct had simply vanished. He glared, watching the raw power surge off Chong Yamo like a brewing storm. True fear, at last, began to creep into his eyes. What in the hell is this monster? He'd broken free, despite a sealed command. Is he here for me, or for the organization backing me? That thought barely lingered before raw fury replaced his fear. It doesn't matter why he came. Anyone who dares challenge my authority will die. The captain roared, guards. In an instant, his emotion monster, from behind him, split into countless soldier forms. They charged Chong Yamo, a relentless swarm of ants. They surrounded his rational form, closing in from all directions. But no matter how many swarmed him, Chong Mo's emotion monster cut them down, relentlessly, one by one. Each devastating slash, an instant kill. Panicked, the captain screamed out again. Stop him. Suddenly, Chong Mo's body froze solid, suspended midair, just like with the butler's earlier command. He was completely, utterly paralyzed. Before he could even begin to break free, dozens of spears brutally pierced through his body. But that kind of attack barely even scratched him. With a furious roar, Chong Yemo unleashed a devastating strike. The soldier army burst apart like fragile, shattered glass, completely obliterated by a single, crushing blow. Meanwhile, Chong Mo's emotion monster had slaughtered the golden colossus, stepping forward, brandishing a blood-soaked bronze blade, now closing in on the captain. The captain panicked, hurriedly chanting the command, "Stop!" But it was too late. The massive blade struck him hard, sending him crashing down from the sky in utter disgrace. As soon as he hit the ground, Chong Yemo dashed in like a bolt of lightning. Yet, the captain, a world-class fighter, recovered in a flash, regaining his composure with a cold glare. He summoned his emotion beast once more, and launched it straight at Chong Yemo. Utterly unfazed, Chong Yemo's rational emotion monster intercepted it head-on. His strategy was clear: have his monsters stall the captains, while he focused on taking down the captain himself. 2.5 minutes later, their monsters were locked in a fierce, desperate battle. But Chong Yemo's was clearly on the losing end. At the same time, Chong Yemo himself was running out of steam, his breath beginning to falter. The seasoned captain instantly pinpointed Chong Mo's critical weakness. A wicked grin twisted across his lips. He's losing steam. This victory is mine. There are plenty of places to run on the open sea. If I can capture him alive and expose the truth behind his emotion monster, that would be a colossal win for our entire organization. Just then, Yuli's voice echoed beside Chong Yemo. Bad news. My power is almost completely drained. What? Chong Yemo panicked. What do we do now? What else but? We run. Before he could protest, the chain connecting to his rational emotion monster yanked him back. He spun around and bolted. At this point, there was only one desperate option left. Jump into the sea, the captain yelled in disbelief. Is this guy insane? He's heading that way. As Chong Yemo plunged deeper into the ocean, the true, horrifying face of the world began to surface. The so-called oil-polluted deep sea wasn't pollution at all. It was actually the lair of a colossal sea monster. As Chong Yemo turned his head toward the distant city, his heart clenched in a vice grip. What was once a familiar city had already become a nest of ravenous monsters. Humanity had been living side by side with monsters all along, completely oblivious to the truth. It was only now that Chong Yemo truly understood. He used to think everyone else was merely sick. But he was wrong. Not just the people, but the oceans, the land, the skies, even the cities themselves. They were all diseased. The captain suddenly noticed something strange. What the hell? His eyes. They're bleeding. Wait. I get it now, he muttered. The truth is too much for him. That power. It's borrowed. His own rank isn't high enough to handle it. Kid, you're dead. Just then, Yuli embraced Chong Yemo and whispered, "Close your eyes. You may be seeing glimpses of the truth through my authority, but your current self can't bear it. So now, let me take over your body." As her voice faded, their bodies began to powerfully merge, and once again, Chong Yemo transformed into a towering, terrifying, emotional beast. The captain stood frozen, utterly stunned by the shocking sight. Chong Yemo now commanded an enormous creature, charging straight at him. The Black Sea. He can control the Black Sea? That's impossible. The captain stammered in utter disbelief. But before he could even react, boom. A monstrous entity, born from the Black Sea, crashed down, slamming right into the captain's emotional creature. The impact was earth-shattering. In the blink of an eye, Chong Yemo safely drifted ashore. "Are you okay?" Yuli asked softly. "Yeah," he replied, nodding. Just then, a strange phenomenon occurred. A pair of glasses materialized out of thin air, settling onto his face. Chong Yemo was stunned. What the hell? Why did these suddenly appear? Yuli explained calmly. "It's your subconscious at work. The glasses represent your rationality. Once your emotions settle, that rational part of you takes control again. That's when the glasses return." Taking a deep breath, Chong Yemo asked, Donghai City, and that thing in the sky. What the hell is happening to this world?" "The world has already changed beyond recognition," Yuli said with a somber look. "You were just too low level to realize it. The news claimed Donghai was polluted by oil. In reality, the contamination came from emotional entities. Years ago, a catastrophic battle broke out. A world-level depression entity went berserk. Her body turned into thick black liquid, swallowing fleets of aircraft carriers and warships. That face you saw was her true form. As for Donghai City, these days, entire regions are ruled by emotional monsters. It's not unusual. That ship you were on, and even your own emotional creature, it's all the same. As for that thing in the sky, if I'm right, that's... But strangely, Chong Yema didn't catch the rest. What? What are you saying? Ili looked puzzled. You can't hear it? That proves it. Whatever that thing is, your current soul just isn't built to comprehend it. If you try to force it, your mind will break. And Chong Yema muttered to himself. So this is the truth behind emotional illness? That so-called sickness is just the tip of the iceberg. Ili's voice grew soft. I saved you, yes, but I also showed you the truth of this world. For a tiny ant like you, dying in ignorance might have been kinder, because from now on, peace is no longer an option. Battle and chaos will follow you everywhere. She hesitated, then asked quietly, I'm the one who dragged you into this maelstrom. Do you resent me for it? Chong Yema offered a faint smile. No, not at all, actually. I'm grateful. I know you have your own agenda, but I've truly never felt so alive. It's like I've been completely reborn. So tell me, who are you really? And what exactly do you want from me? I'm merely a wandering soul. She softly replied. For years, I've drifted aimlessly through this city. No one could see me, no one ever spoke to me. But as my rationality faded, so did my strength and my memories. I can't even remember who I truly was. Only my name remained. I was like a dying flame without fuel, destined to vanish, until I met you that day. You bumped into me on the street and simply said, Excuse me, I'm gonna be late. You're the only one who's ever spoken to me. The only one who could touch me. The only one capable of carrying my rational essence. If I was the dying flame, then you were the furnace that kept me burning. With you, I could hold on to myself. I could exist. That's why I got close to you. Why I pretended to be your colleague. Why I helped you investigate your mother's death. Why I fought with everything I had to protect you on the sea. Emperor, I will help you get everything you desire. Wealth, power, status. Whatever you want, I'll make it happen. But in return, you must become stronger. Strong enough to face the truth in the sky. Strong enough to uncover what lies beyond. Because the most important part of me is up there. Let's start over. My name is Ili, and today marks my rebirth. To Chong Yema, this is our rebirth. The scene shifts. Two figures stand on a sleek kayak, gazing out over the remains of the Sea Emperor, drifting on the distant ocean. The woman asked, Did you figure out who that guy was? The man nodded. Surprisingly easy. Name, Chong Yema, 18 years old. Works in the art department at Tianji Group in Donghai City. His mother died when he was 10, likely killed by Lujia. According to his company's annual medical records, he was just an ordinary person. This March, the woman, revealed to be the second miss of the Song family, narrowed her eyes. Impossible. If he fought the Sea Emperor, he's at least world-class. Nobody gets that powerful in just a few months. His power was likely borrowed during the fight with the captain. His eyes started bleeding, probably after glimpsing that thing in the sky. If that power was truly his, he wouldn't have reacted like that. It's fascinating, borrowing power that can control even the Black Sea. Who's backing him? Didn't the captain ask us to look into this guy too? In that case, let's stall the report for a while. I'm not world-class yet, and staying up late is terrible for my skin. Miss Song, what about the boy? Don't worry. With the Song, families reach across the Federation. He won't get far, and whoever lent him that power won't escape either. This power will be ours, for our master. The next morning, Yuli calmly asked, So what's your plan now? Chong Mo's expression turned cold. Lu Joan may be dead, but the man he mentioned, the one who ordered my mother's death, is still out there. I have to find him. Yuli didn't sugarcoat her response. That man is a dangerous one. A power hidden deep in the shadows. You're not ready to face someone like that. Not yet. What we need most right now is shelter. If I'm right, the forces behind the Sea Emperor are already hunting us, and I've burned through nearly all my power. If another world class appears, we're done. And it's not just a grudge you've made. Your emotional power, what you showed back there, it's rare, dangerous enough to drive entire factions insane. Just then, Chong Yemo suddenly shouted, startling Yuli. What is it? Crap. I was supposed to go to work today? I totally forgot. He slapped his forehead. and my entire project team's dead. Guess there's no project left, anyway. Still, it would have been nice to keep getting paid without working. But now I missed my shift. I'm basically AWOL, probably getting fired. There goes my salary. How am I supposed to survive now? Yuli was left speechless by Chong Mo's sudden panic over getting fired. It was only now that he truly felt it. His old life was gone. There was no going back. Come on, Yuli said. We're almost there, the place I mentioned. It's just ahead. Soon, the two arrived at their so-called sanctuary. But as Chong Mo stepped inside and saw the drooling, vacant-eyed people just wandering around. This asterisk is your idea of a safe haven? He asked, completely dumbfounded. Exactly, Yuli replied calmly. They had arrived at Donghai City's second psychiatric hospital. Don't underestimate this place. She explained. It might be remote, but this is an official government facility, specifically for treating emotional disorders. And remember, Donghai is under Dasha's jurisdiction. The Dasha government is the strongest force here. People like you, who can control emotional monsters, might even get recruited by the government itself. Besides, there's something special about this place. Too bad you can't see it yet. Chong Yamo raised an eyebrow. Something special? Remember the giant emotional monsters you saw when you borrowed my power? One of them is stationed right here. It guards this place. After that, Chong Yamo went to the front desk, paid the fee, and had his blood drawn. The nurse handed him a clipboard and said, "Please wait a moment. Your results will be out shortly." As Chong Yamo waited in the hospital lobby, his eyes scanned the surroundings. No wonder this place specializes in treating emotional disorders. He mused. None of the nurses have emotion sacs on their heads. Even most of the patients don't. That's rare. Then, his gaze shifted to the man sitting next to him. Except this guy. But the sack on his head looks different from the ones I've seen before. Sensing his confusion, Yuli leaned in and said calmly, "You've gone through a real transformation. The more you understand yourself, the stronger you become, and the more emotional forms you'll be able to perceive. You used to only see anger sacs. Now you're beginning to perceive other types too." She pointed at the man beside them. "That one's from the joy virus. It causes the infected to smile uncontrollably. No matter what happens, they just feel happy." Chong Yamo nodded slowly, piecing things together. Things were finally starting to make a bit more sense. Just then, a girl's voice came from behind Chong Yamo. "Hi, are you here for a checkup too?" Chong Yamo nodded. "Yeah." "Why?" The girl waved her hand. "No reason. You just seem pretty normal." Chong Yamo chuckled. "Aren't you pretty normal yourself?" She rolled her eyes. "Of course I am. My parents were the ones who forced me to come. With all these emotional illness outbreaks lately, they totally freaked out and made me come for a checkup. They even threatened to throw away my entire collection if I didn't. You know, I looked up this Donghai City Second Psychiatric Hospital online. Everyone calls it Hospital Number 2. It's specifically for really serious mental patients. I heard it's divided into Area A and Area B. The ones in Area A are already totally unstable, and Area B are way scarier. Total maniacs in there. People so dangerous they have to be chained up." Chanamo looked confused. "What's the difference between Area A and Area B?" Yili explained. "If I'm right, Area A is for those who are infected but haven't fully transformed yet. Area B is for those who have transformed, actual emotional entities." Chong Imo asked the girl, "Then why do you even come here in the first place?" She replied confidently, "Because if the second hospital turns me away, my parents will stop nagging. The first hospital might still take me, but the second, they deal with potential killers. There's no way they'd admit someone as normal as me." Soon, the test results were out. A nurse shouted while checking the names. "Jean Con Lee. Gooden. Your results are ready. You're advised to transfer to Donghai City First Psychiatric Hospital. Wang Bin, your prescription is ready. Don't forget to take your meds on time." The girl kept chatting with Chong Yimo. "See, even those other patients who seem totally fine, this hospital won't admit them. We're way too normal. They'll probably just send us home." Just then, the nurse called out, "Chong Yimo, Zhong, Jia Qi, come with me to complete your admission paperwork." Hearing their names, both Chong and Mo, and the girl froze. Zhang Yueqi yelled, "Wait, what? Why are we being admitted?" On the way to the front desk, the young nurse, Zoe Young, smiled and said, "It's been ages since we had patients voluntarily come to the second hospital. You two are sharp. Choosing this place was a brilliant decision. The environment here is even better than a 5-star hotel. Super comfy. All meals are prepared by gourmet chefs. You might find yourself not wanting to leave once you're all settled in. So don't worry, just relax and focus on your recovery. Zhang Guoche still couldn't quite believe it. No way. This is the second psychiatric hospital they're actually admitting me to. Am I really that abnormal? The nurse tried to reassure her. Honestly, these days, who doesn't have a little mental strain? Early intervention just keeps things from getting worse, that's all. Chong then whispered to Yi Li. Is Zhang Jiechi a host to an emotion entity too? I didn't see her emotional creature. Could it be hiding inside her mental realm? That's right, your current ability isn't strong enough to perceive creatures that reside deep in the heart realm. Then how did the hospital detect emotion hosts in the first place? Just from a blood test, if I remember correctly? It's because emotional entities make your blood unmeasurable by normal instruments. Technically speaking, your blood essentially becomes unreadable. As for how exactly that works, I've never seen their machines in action, so I can't say for sure, but as the group moved deeper into the facility, the armed guards began appearing on the upper levels. The atmosphere grew noticeably tense. Suddenly, Zhang Jiaqi froze and shouted, "Wait a second, this is Area B, right? B, isn't this where they lock up all the psychotic killers?" She grabbed a nurse's arm in a panic, her voice trembling. "I swear, I've never had thoughts of killing anyone, so why are they putting me in Area B?" The nurse chuckled and reassured her, "Relax. Those horror videos online exaggerate everything. Trust me, if they don't make it sound scary, how would they go viral? Just follow the treatment plan. Everything will be fine, really." Zhang Jiaqi asked nervously. The nurse just smiled and nodded. Of course, but as her eyes scanned the room, her expression suddenly changed. "Wait a minute, you all. Why are all of you carrying guns?" At that very moment, the guards on the upper floor silently took position, aiming sniper rifles directly toward them. Zhang Mo's heart tensed. Did they all see it too? Is that Zhang Yueqi's emotional parasite? He couldn't help but ask Yuli. What happens to the patients? Those rejected by the official system. Yuli offered a faint smile. If they show signs of danger, they're usually locked up. They might even be eliminated on the spot. So, whatever you do, don't make any sudden moves. Just as everyone thought Zhang Jiechi was about to snap, Chonghua gently patted her shoulder. "Jiechi, take it easy, just relax. If you keep up this tension, they might actually mistake you for a threat and open fire." Comforted by his words, Zhang Jiechi slowly began to calm down. Meanwhile, the emotional parasite surrounding her started to fade. She glanced back at Chong Yamo and murmured, "Yeah, you're right about that." Then, turning to the nurse, she said, "Sorry, I just overreacted." The nurse finally let out a quiet, relieved sigh. Her parasite had retreated back into her mindscape. She was on the absolute brink of losing control, yet somehow pulled herself back from it. Ili looked at Chong Yamo with a trace of surprise. "I didn't expect that. She's a total stranger. Yet you still cared enough to stabilize her with your rational power." Chong Yamo replied calmly, "I just wanted to appear somewhat compassionate. If I just stood there coldly while she was about to get shot, wouldn't that make me seem completely heartless? No way the authorities would recruit such an emotionless parasite." But in the very next instant, just as everyone had let their guard down, the nurse suddenly spoke into her radio. "Fire! Bang!" A single shot echoed, and Zhang Jiechi collapsed instantly. Chongma's expression didn't even flicker. It was as if none of it had anything to do with him. Ili leaned closer, whispering, "Hey, show some reaction. You're looking a bit too dead inside, you know." Chong Yamo frowned slightly. Zoned out again. Another one down. How many is that now? It's starting to feel normal. But then, he quickly noticed something was off. There was no blood on the ground. It seemed Zhang Jiechi wasn't dead after all. That was a tranquilizer round. He sighed in relief. A tranquilizer. Ili chuckled. "Nice acting. Just a little slow, sorry." Chong Yamo replied flatly, "I'll get it right next time, on the other side." The nurse directed 2 staff members. "Take her away, unknown emotional entity. She's unstable. Treat this as high-risk containment." Chong Yamo frowned. "Thanks for the help." "High risk? What exactly does that mean for her?" The nurse smiled, a little too sweetly. "It just means we'll be watching her much more closely. You weren't scared just now, were you? You seemed awfully calm, didn't you? How about I run a quick assessment for you as well? Just a few questions, an assessment." Chong Yamo raised an eyebrow. "Sure, go right ahead. Did you come here on your own for this checkup?" "That's pretty rare," the nurse observed. Can you tell me what made you decide to visit a psychiatric facility? Well, Chong-mo replied earnestly. At first, I started seeing things no one else could. Things like sacks on people's heads and monsters. Then I began to feel some kind of power. Something completely invisible to others. He raised his hand, pointing to his palm. I think it might be a hallucination. So, I came here to get it checked. This thing in my hand, can you see it? The nurse froze in place, eyes wide, staring at Chong-mo's palm. Well, that's certainly unexpected. I need to report this right away. Without a moment's hesitation, she quietly stepped back and spoke on her radio again. Open fire. Bang. A single shot rang out, and Chong-mo dropped to the ground. The nurse finally let out a long breath. What is going on today? 2 unknown emotional entities in one day? Scared me to death. Nice shot. Oddly right on target. Someone nearby chuckled. Good work, everyone. But hey, why? We shot the last guy too. He looked pretty normal. The nurse shook her head. Those are always the scariest ones. I reviewed the hospital surveillance footage earlier. He hit it well, but his subtle body language gave him away. What kind of body language? He was talking to someone invisible. That's classic dissociative identity disorder. The personality he shows now seems mild, but the other one might be extremely dangerous. And his emotional powers? They're unlike anything we've seen. What's worse when he used those powers? No emotional entity appeared. That means he's already learned to control it. A dissociative patient with full command of an unknown emotional force. Way more dangerous than that girl. We had to take him down immediately. The nurse let out a breath. All right, call someone to take him away. But before she could finish, Chong-mo suddenly sprang up from the ground. The nurse gasped in shock. How are you still conscious? The intercom blared. Target is active again. Target is active. Level 1 alert. Level 1 alert in an instant. Countless armed guards swarmed the area surrounding them. Yuli sighed. I was just about to tell you not to get up so soon. Chong-mo's eyes narrowed as he made a firm decision. Well, then he raised both hands and shouted. Don't shoot, I surrender. I surrender. His calm and straightforward surrender stunned the heavily armed guards. On edge, the nurse finally relaxed. Phew. That should settle it for now. Soon Chong-mo's hands were tightly bound by a special chain. The nurse explained cheerfully. Yes, you've awakened some unique powers. But this chain suppresses all emotional abilities. You're no different from an ordinary person. Now though, I admit it's a bit unfair to you. Chong-mo glanced down at the chain, frowning in thought. So this is the chain that can suppress all emotional powers. But oddly enough, he could feel a strange energy surging from the chain and pouring into his body. Yuli noticed and raised her brows. Wait, are you absorbing the chain's energy? That metal was once infected by the emotion of rationality. She said that's why the chain can suppress other emotion-based powers. But for someone like you, someone tied to emotional entities, this isn't a shackle, it's a full-course energy boost. Meanwhile, at the Donghai City Bureau of Emotional Management, Director Chu Wei-ming was on the phone reporting. Miss Song, I found the person you asked about. He's been admitted to the 2nd mental hospital as a patient. Since he's in the 2nd hospital, he's under your jurisdiction. Now don't worry. Miss Song, I'll personally see to it that we bring him out. Her voice dripped with a sly smile. Well done, Chong-mo. You're not bad-looking either. Before we extract that power of yours, we'll have plenty of time to enjoy ourselves. I can't wait to see that delicate face of yours. Twist in agony and despair. Zhang Jiechi was diagnosed with a truly bizarre illness. She could see handsome men showering from miles away. If she went too long without seeing one, eyeballs would start growing from her head. Nurse Xiao Lin grew frantic. Sister Joe, she's losing control. We need to medicate her now. Head nurse Joe held her back. Hold on, let's see if she can suppress it with willpower. Zhang Jiaqi screamed. I can't control it. Is it so wrong to really want to look at hot guys? Joe's face hardened. No choice. Administer the injection. In a panic, Xiao Lin fumbled, dropping the syringe to the floor. With a loud clack. What are you doing? You dropped it at the worst possible time. Just then, a hand reached out toward Zhang Jiechi. Calm down. If you lose control and become a monster, you'll never see anything again. It was the doctor, who had just arrived. The head nurse quickly warned Dr. Liu for being too reckless. Don't provoke her further. Just then, the emotional cyst on Zhang Jiasher's head began to tremble violently, and moments later, they disappeared completely. Dr. Liu praised her. Good job, Jetty. I knew you could do it. All right, Here's the preliminary diagnosis. Patient name, Zhang Jechi, exhibits obsessive fixation on handsome men. First symptom occurred 1 month ago. After encountering a particularly handsome stranger, upon returning home, she began to see him, showering. Emotion-based ability, suspected to be some form of clairvoyance, tentatively classified as a Type 7 unknown emotional entity. Threat level, low. Upon hearing this, NgocMy muttered, "So, your parents sent you here because you could see hot guys showering?" Zhang Jiaqi scratched her head, grinning sheepishly. Hee hee. Kind of embarrassing. Dr. Lu then turned to NgocMy. Patient name, NgocMy, emotionally stable. Claims to see and manipulate things invisible to others. Initially suspected of schizophrenia. However, the patient insists he's just fond of talking to himself. Observed emotional ability includes crystallization through the hands and emitting brilliant blue flames. Tentatively classified as a Type 7 unknown emotional entity. Threat level, moderate. Dr. Lu just smiled. No need to worry, you're emotionally stable, and that's a great sign. Once we fully understand your abilities, you'll be discharged. But until then, the suppression chains stay on. Thank you for your cooperation. Dr. Lu then walked to the next patient. And now you Sai, you're always my most troublesome patient. Name, Chuanjiu. No abnormal behavior. No notable responses, apart from regular blood test results. Everything about him seems totally normal. Well, almost. I mean, normal people aren't this vacant. Tentatively classified as a Type 6 unknown emotional entity. Threat level, low. Still gives me a headache. NgocMy glanced at the boy named Shinju, silently wondering, is he a cognitively impaired emotional entity? Or wait, does stupidity count as an emotion? Now, at that very moment, Zhang Jiaqi suddenly burst out excitedly. Yes, I'm not mentally ill. I'm a superpowered psychic, and my power is literally seeing hot guys shower. Is this heaven? Dr. Lu quickly reminded her. Don't get too cocky, Jetty. Technically, all emotional entities are considered mentally ill. The only difference is whether they can control it or not. According to Article 4 of the Emotional Entity Confidential Management Law, the Dasha government has established the Emotional Entity Administration Bureau. Our hospital is one of its subordinate branches, responsible for treatment and containment, to ensure you don't endanger society. Hearing this, NgocMy raised a question. Wait, emotional entities are under national management. Dr. Lu responded sternly. Of course, you're subject to regulation. If you're released and commit a crime violating Dasha's laws, the Donghai Emotional Entity Bureau will come for you. And trust me, they're not as gentle as we are. If you even survive, consider yourself lucky. I won't be able to protect you then. Understood? All right then. If you're curious about the Emotional Entity Management Law, ask the nurse for a copy. Just then, a nurse shouted anxiously. Dr. Lu, something's wrong. Please come quickly. What happened? Don't panic. I'm on my way. As soon as the medical staff left, NgocMy picked up the Emotional Entity Management Law and began reading through it. Article 7, the Emotional Entity Confidential Management Law. The Emotional Entity Bureau holds full authority over all emotional entities it oversees, boasting dedicated treatment facilities, armed enforcement, and judicial branches. All emotional entities must abide by national laws. Violators will be arrested, tried, and sentenced accordingly. After reading this, NgocMy frowned in confusion. If emotional entities truly can't break national laws, then how did Lu Jia roam free all this time? Yeli replied, of course. Everything appears fair and just on the surface. But behind the scenes, there are definitely all sorts of shady deals. The fact that Lu Jia got away with everything clearly points to the involvement of higher-ups in the Emotional Entity Bureau. As for how deep it goes, no one truly knows. NgocMy followed up. Then how did you know Lu Jia was the one who killed my mom? Yeli replied, I accessed the police archives. The cops actually suspected Lu Jia early on, but later, the case was transferred to a classified department, and the investigation stopped altogether. That department, the Emotional Entity Bureau. Of course, that's when NgocMy suddenly realized something. Wait a second, Lu Jia's backing comes from the top of the bureau, and this hospital we're in? It's under that same bureau. Aren't we basically doomed? Yeli paused, then said, oh yeah, you're right. Then she smiled faintly. Well, I don't really remember all the details before merging with you. My memory had been fading. I just knew it was risky, but worth the gamble. That's why I brought you here, anyway. We're already here. The best thing to do now is absorb the power of this chain. For everything else, let's trust the me before the amnesia. Meanwhile, Dr. Liu was summoned to the office to meet with the director of the Emotional Entity Bureau. The director casually sipped a cup of coffee. Then, out of nowhere, he slammed the cup to the ground, shattering it. His fury was evident. Dr. Liu flinched and asked nervously, "Director, what's wrong?" The director slammed a thick stack of documents onto the desk. "What's wrong? You're actually asking that? Take a good look at what you and your people have done." Outside the office, two nurses pressed against the door, eavesdropping. Nurse Joe muttered, clearly agitated. "Does he have to throw a tantrum every single time he shows up?" Nurse Scholing quietly asked. "Why doesn't the hospital director ever step in?" Nurse Joe replied, "The director? He can't do anything. That guy outranks him. Our funding depends on the bureau." Eventually, even the director stopped meeting with him altogether. Now, Dr. Liu is stuck dealing with him herself. Honestly, he shows some respect to the hospital head, but he's downright nasty to Dr. Liu. She shakes like a leaf every single time she sees him. Just then, the director suddenly stood up, his voice stern. "Last night, that man committed murder aboard the Sea Emperor cruise ship, and this morning, he managed to escape right into your hospital. And you actually admitted him? Do you have any idea who's behind the Sea Emperor? Don't you know this man is a murderer? Don't you realize this has already escalated into an international incident?" He fired off 3 furious questions in a row, then exhaled sharply, staring down at Dr. Liu. He threatened, "Hand him over immediately, or don't blame me for what happens next." But to his surprise, Dr. Liu suddenly stopped trembling. Her demeanor was unusually calm. The director scoffed inwardly. Asterisk got her, probably scared stiff this time. Asterisk, can't even shake anymore. Just then, a droplet of blood splashed onto his shoulder. He reached up to wipe it off, but found nothing there. Thinking it was just his imagination, he began to relax, until more blood suddenly drenched him from above, and once again, it vanished into thin air, still reeling in confusion. He tried to make sense of it all, but the next moment, blood reappeared, this time in torrents, flooding the entire floor beneath him. At that moment, Director Zhao's face was pale with terror. This was supposed to be a regular office, but he felt as though he were drowning in a sea of corpses and blood. What kind of emotional power is this, Dr. Liu? He recalled only seeing her during a few work meetings. Quiet, polite, always smiling. She seemed so gentle, so refined, so easy to control. That's precisely why he sought her out. But was this truly the same person he knew? Just as he wrestled with his next move, the sharp tapping of a cane echoed through the room. The director of the 2nd Psychiatric Hospital, Yimin Xiao, had arrived. "Director Xiao, what a surprise. Why didn't you let me know you were coming?" As she appeared, the gruesome vision dissolved without a trace. Xiao stared in disbelief. The sea of blood was gone. Yimin Xiao calmly spoke. "You're here about NgocMy, aren't you? My team completed the background check. The man he killed, Lu Jia, renounced his Dasha citizenship years ago. He's no longer protected by our law. And since the incident happened in international waters, aboard the Sea Emperor, NgocMy neither harmed any citizens nor damaged national assets. Therefore, he hasn't violated the Emotional Entity Confidential Management Act." Director Zhao stammered, "Yes. But there's a lot of pressure from the Sea Emperor's people. You know who's behind them. The higher-ups demanded I give them an answer today." The dean tapped her cane heavily on the floor. Her expression turned cold. "You're talking about the Song family, aren't you, you spineless cowards? Since when do we let foreign-backed entities dictate our internal affairs?" She turned sharply to Zhao. "And you, wasn't Lu Jiao a prime suspect back then? How did he manage to renounce his citizenship so easily and still strut around Donghai for years? Are you blind? Do I need to report that to your superiors too?" Moments later, Director Zhao drove away, tail tucked between his legs. Watching his car disappear, the dean snorted, "Humph. Trying to throw weight around with me? Dream on." Dr. Liu clung to the dean's arm with a smile. "Dean, you were amazing just now." Whap! The dean's cane landed squarely on her head. "Control your emotions. Do you want to lose control again?" Dr. Liu pouted. "I've been holding it in for years. Can I breathe a little? Besides, I've been feeling more stable lately." The dean scolded. "You're at your most dangerous stage right now. One moment of carelessness, and you'll snap. Don't let your guard down." "Yes, ma'am." Dr. Liu responded obediently. A moment later, Dr. Liu gasped in shock. So, that world-class battle on the Sea Emperor really did happen. Even the polluted Donghai waters were churned up because of it. Could the world-class being be NgocMy? Perhaps a ship was his target all along. The dean calmly replied, I don't know the exact details, but NgocMy isn't world-class. According to our records, he's lived in Donghai since childhood with annual health checks. The latest one shows he was still an ordinary human, so it couldn't have been him. Which means, she continued, there must be a world-class entity backing him. Lu frowned. If that's the case, what's their goal? Did they clash with the Sea Emperor just to save him? And if he has someone like that backing him, why bother coming to our hospital? Her eyes suddenly glowed crimson. Don't tell me that world-class being's next target is us. Whack. The dean smacked her with her cane again. Stop overthinking, she chided, turning her gaze to a plant in the corner. And this? I told you to take care of it. Look at it. You shoved it in a corner like I wouldn't notice. Lu protested. Can we please stay on topic? This is serious. The dean finally sighed and returned to the matter at hand. Don't worry. If that world-class entity were within the hospital grounds, I'd have sensed it. But NgocMy. Dr. Lu cut in coldly. Humph. I still say he's up to no good. We should have handed him over earlier. The dean gently held a potted plant and said, emotions are like plants. Some can grow strong on their own. Others need support, or they won't be able to stand at all. That boy is truly pitiful. Lost both parents early, forced to work young, just as his life was beginning to show promise. He got dragged into a conflict with emotionalists. That Luja, by the way, was the prime suspect in his mother's murder. You think that's just a coincidence? Of course not. Hidden organizations and cults are known to select ideal candidates, especially those like NgocMy who harbor deep hatred. They lure them with promises of revenge and use that to buy their loyalty. Maybe NgocMy came to the hospital on a mission, but as long as he's still a citizen of Daxia, if he's straying, we can't just abandon him. We need to pull him back. Meanwhile, at the Donghai City Emotional Management Bureau, Director Xiao immediately began investigating Dr. Lu's background, but the moment the results appeared, his pupils shrank in shock. Access denied. Insufficient permissions. Just then, a call came in from Miss Song, the Song family's second daughter. Director Xiao answered respectfully. Miss Song, this matter still needs a bit more time to resolve. Please don't worry, I can handle it. Absolutely, I'll fully cooperate. Moments later, the call ended. Meanwhile, Song Weiwei was sipping tea with a middle-aged man. She said, Director Zhao sighed, we'll leave it to your organization. Black Chain. The master said that since that old woman is so troublesome anyway, we might as well bring the plan forward. Flatten the second psychiatric hospital directly. As for NgocMy, just bring him back. Along the way, the man stubbed out his cigarette, then responded coldly, no problem. The next night, in Ward B of Donghai City Second Psychiatric Hospital, NgocMy sat cross-legged on his hospital bed, quietly absorbing the rational energy flowing from the chain. Yeli praised him. Not bad. Not bad. Your rational emotion power has grown quite a bit. At this rate, you'll soon need the law. NgocMy looked confused. What's the law? Yeli replied. Each emotional entity grows under different conditions. How to absorb power. How to control it. There's a whole system behind it. Without it, you'll lose control. That system, tailored to each emotion type, is called the law. You once borrowed my power and briefly reached world class, but that wasn't something you could truly control. If you want to master true power, you must follow the law's method. Digest it step by step and grow slowly. Your rational emotion power is accumulating too fast without the law. For rational types, you'll lose control soon. End of episode 11. The law is a systematic method to harness emotional power. Once you've learned it, you can control your emotions and avoid losing yourself. And for rational types, the most basic law is to undergo intense, continuous experiences of other emotions. But Yeli shook his head and said, you already burned through years of stored anger. Nothing major has happened lately, so your emotions have stayed flat. So, this method just won't work for now. For now, just focus on resting today. Nurse Jo tucked Jetty in while making her rounds. Just as she was about to step out, Changhua suddenly called out, Hey, Nurse Jo, you're a regular human, right? Then how can you see emotional power as well? She smiled softly and replied, Some things happened, but that's all in the past now. You too hang in there. No matter how hard it gets, It won't last forever. Hearing this, Yeli murmured, that kind of calm usually hides a painful story. In this world, simply being able to see is already a form of power. That power either comes from your rank, like when you borrowed mine and saw the truth of the world, or it comes from a mix of experience and luck. You need both. You got your glimpse of the truth after your mother's incident. You got lucky, in a twisted way. So, if a regular person can see emotional power, it usually means something terrible happened to them. And if they see too much without the strength to bear it, that's a curse in itself. NgocMy fell silent. At that moment, Nurse Joe turned back. All right, I read your file. I have something for you. She held out a necklace. A necklace? What's this for? She smiled. It's not just any necklace. As he looked at it curiously, the bead in the center began to glow. It's actually a little light. It's small, but I hope it helps brighten the darkness around you. NgocMy gave a small smile. Thanks. Then Nurse Joe and Nurse Shaoling moved on to the next bed. Yeli, feeling a spark, teased. That nurse is pretty cute. NgocMy shrugged. What's the point? Yeli was speechless. I was gonna say classic rational type, but honestly, that mindset. You're the one most likely to snap. Suddenly, Zhang Ichi jolted awake in her bed. NgocMy looked over. You okay? Zhang Ichi rubbed her temples. Yeah, just a nightmare. Just then, another scream rang out. Nurse Shaoling rushed over. What now? Why are all of you sleeping so restlessly? Before she could finish, the bed next to them exploded. Suddenly, a hand shoved her out of the blast. NgocMy froze, utterly stunned by what he'd just witnessed. Zhang Jiechi stared, wide-eyed with horror. Mouth agape, Nurse Shaoling tumbled backward. She hit the ground, landing beside a severed hand. NgocMy simply couldn't comprehend what he was seeing. It was as if the entire room had been wiped from existence. Shaoling stared blankly at the disembodied hand. Then, tears began streaming down her face. Sister Joe, it was Joe, the nurse who had pushed her to safety in that final moment. And now, Joe had been instantly annihilated. Just then, someone crawled out from the massive crater in the floor. It was the patient suffering from a joy-type emotion disorder. In the next second, his joy emotion entity burst forth. Yeli shouted, "Careful! His joy forms have completely lost control. Joy-type entities can dissolve absolutely anything. That earlier blast was all his doing." Another massive explosion suddenly detonated to the side. Then, the entire rooftop erupted in furious flames. Once things briefly settled, or so it seemed, NgocMy turned his gaze toward the blast zone. Inside the ward, emotion entities were going absolutely wild everywhere. Nurse Shaoling panicked. They've all lost control. All the patients. I need to call the security squad. No sooner had she spoken than a burst of gunfire. Asterisk 22. Asterisk. Asterisk 22. Asterisk. Rang out from outside. NgocMy said calmly. The security squad probably won't make it in time. That gunfire, and these abnormal outbreaks. It's an attack. The second hospital is under siege. Nurse Shaoling collapsed to the ground in despair. We're under attack. How? How is this happening? Where's the director? What about her? Yeli chuckled darkly. Too bad you can't see her right now. Your director is a bit preoccupied at the moment. High above the hospital, a blood-red monster was locked in brutal combat with a shadow-black creature. Two world-class emotion entities were clashing fiercely in the sky. Meanwhile, on the hospital rooftop, far above the facility, the director stood, confronting a mysterious man. Bloodthorn, the hatred-type emotion entity. Are you with the Black Chain? The hooded man responded coldly. I am the new bishop of the Black Chain's Eastern Sea Branch. Today, I've come to take your life and burn the second hospital to the ground. Crimson emotional energy surged powerfully behind the director. Bold words, she sneered. You locked your emotional entity away in the mind realm, choosing to fight with only your physical body. That's the dumbest mistake you've ever made. The moment she finished speaking, her body twisted, morphing into a monstrous form. Meanwhile, back in the ward, NgocMy asked, Wait, the director is fighting a world-class enemy right now. Then the entire second hospital could be leveled. We'll be caught in the blast. Yeli replied, Relax. It seems both sides agreed to fight within the mind realm. Real-world damage should be minimal. But I've got to warn you, I'm completely powerless now. From here on out, you're on your own. If you die, we all die. Nurse Shaoling was still panicking. Where is the director? Why isn't she saving us? Why is this happening? Zhang Jiqi cried out. Nurse, please. You have to pull yourself together. Why you need to calm them down. But Nurse Xiaoling looked utterly hopeless. Calm them down? That's impossible. Absolutely impossible. They're completely out of control. Their emotional power will tear us to pieces. We're going to die. Changma let out a sigh. Then, he yanked the chain off his wrist. With one decisive pull, he placed his hand firmly on the head of the joy-infected patient. Just like that, the man was subdued. Zhang Jiqi froze in shock. Nurse Xiaoling was equally stunned. After a brief silence, Zhang Imo spoke. Don't just stand there, let's go. Xiaoling stammered, "Why? What did you just do?" Zhang Jiqi waved excitedly. "Changma, that was awesome." He replied calmly, "Nothing much, just helped him calm down." Xiaoling gasped, "Your emotional power can stabilize a rampaging entity. That's incredible." Earlier, Yeli had warned him, joy-type entities can dissolve anything. They're the biggest threat to you. If his ability hits you, you'll be obliterated. Take him out first. Chong Yamo had asked. Dissolve anything? That's broken. How is that not invincible? Yeli replied, because emotional power isn't matter. If you counter with your own emotional force, you can block his attacks. Just then, a fiery orb came screaming straight for Chong Yamo. A second later, boom. It exploded right on impact. Nurse Xiaoling and Zhang Jiaqi stared in horror, thinking he was dead, tears welling up in their eyes. But the very next moment, Chong Yamo burst out of the smoke. The first rage-infected patient was instantly calmed. Then came the second, and finally, the third. But by then, the enemy had already launched another assault. A barrage of fireballs, over a dozen, rained down on Chong Yamo. As the fiery orbs came screaming toward him, he chose to take them head-on. Then, without hesitation, he pressed his hand on the final patient's head. With that, all three rage-infected patients were neutralized by Chong Yamo alone. Chong Yamo turned to Zhong Jisher and Nurse Xiaoling. Are you two okay? Both of them stared at him in awe. Amazing. Not only can he stop emotion entities from going berserk, but his defense is insane too. What kind of entity is this? Suddenly, a splash of black ink dropped right next to Zhang Jisher. They looked up. There was another berserk patient hiding above them. Black liquid was oozing steadily from his head. Nurse Xiaoling cried out, "Watch out. That's a sadness-type emotion creature. It can drag everything into despair. But usually, they don't move. As long as we don't provoke it, we'll be fine," Yeli chimed in. "Your resistance to sadness is low. Don't touch that black fluid. This one's infected by the Black Dong Hai. But it's still weak. No need to fight. Just get out." Chong Yamo nodded and called out, "Come on, let's go now." Zhang Jiaqi suddenly exclaimed, "Wait, Chuanju." They all turned to look at the collapsed bed. He was probably already dead. Nurse Xiaoling's voice trembled. "How did this happen? He was fine just moments ago. First Sister Zhou, now Chuanju too." Zhang Jiaqi gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Hold it together. Right now, surviving is all that matters. And with Chong Yamo here, we'll make it." Suddenly, someone grabbed onto Chong Mo's leg. "Damn right, with his brother around, we'll definitely survive." Jean Getchi gaped. "Huh? Where did you come from?" Shinju blinked blankly. "I just fell off the bed while napping," he said. "Then I heard an explosion, so I just hid in the corner the whole time. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Let's get the hell out of here." A few minutes later, Chong Yima led Nurse Xiaoling, Zhang Jisher, and Shinju safely out of the ward. He then asked, "Do you have Dr. Lu's number?" Xiaoling pulled out her phone, only to find absolutely no signal. Chong Yima frowned. "Probably a signal jammer. And we don't hear any more gunfire," he noted grimly. The security squad might have been wiped out. A few moments later, Zhang Jisher and Nurse Xiaoling were panting heavily, completely out of breath. It was then that Chong Yima noticed his own stamina fell off the charts. Yeli explained, different emotion types affect the body differently. Rational power boosts overall control. So yeah, your endurance is enhanced. Chong Yima glanced at Shinju. He didn't look tired either. "Were you always this fit, or is that emotion power too?" Jean Getchi spoke up. If there was still gunfire, someone at the outpatient wing might have heard it. Maybe they called the cops. Should we just hide somewhere for now? Nurse Xiaoling shook her head. Actually, at night, the entire hospital building is empty. Only our B block has people. Everyone relies on the night shift because the director is here. We have to find her. But Chong Yima shook his head. Looking for the director won't help. She hasn't shown up. She's definitely been tied down by the enemy. This hospital is isolated. Basically a sitting duck. The enemy came prepared. Our only option now is to escape. Shinju was shocked. Wait. The entire B block only has the director as a fighter? That's way too risky. Nurse Scholing quickly corrected him. No, it's not just her. Dr. Liu and our head nurse are powerful emotion types too. It's just that the doctor's not here today, right? But the head nurse. We still have her. She can protect us. Hearing that, an image of the head nurse surfaced in Chong Ima's mind. Underscore the head nurse. That woman who barely ever shows up? Underscore. Underscore she's strong too. Underscore. Underscore like the doctor? Suddenly, underscore. A rage-infected patient suddenly lunged out from the side. But in the very next moment, Chong Ima effortlessly calmed him. Just then, Nurse Scholing spotted something. Her eyes widened in shock. My. She sprinted toward the mysterious figure. But by the time she reached her, the nurse was already lifeless. At that moment, a chilling thought struck Chong Ima. Wait. How did the enemy make so many patients go berserk simultaneously? Nurse Scholing shook her head, utterly baffled. I don't know either. Everyone took their meds on schedule. Those meds, like the chains we use to restrain you, are specifically designed to suppress emotional power. There's no way they all just lost control. Out of nowhere, Chong Ima raised a startling possibility. What if the meds were tampered with? Since everyone takes them at the same time, the outburst would happen simultaneously. Scholing frowned, but the meds go through strict checks, and to make different emotion types go berserk, you need a specific drug for each one. Jean Getchi tilted her head, confused. What do you mean, specific drug for each one? Scholing explained, you need to give anger-enhancing meds to rage types, and joy boosters to joy types. Only by doing that could you overload them, and trigger a complete loss of control. And all the meds were sorted by name ahead of time, by the head nurse. The ward nurses just handed them out. There's no way an outsider could interfere. As she said that, Xiaoling suddenly froze, her pupils contracting. No way. Don't tell me. It was the head nurse. Chong Ima muttered. It all makes sense now. The head nurse is the traitor. She coordinated everything from the inside, handing out tampered meds that triggered this outbreak. And that explains why the three of us didn't go berserk. Our emotion types aren't registered. She couldn't dose us properly. Let's move. And from here on, watch out for the head nurse. Moments later, they finally reached the hospital's main entrance. But just as they were about to step out, they froze. A figure was eerily floating in midair. It was the head nurse. Zhang Jiashi tensed up. It's her. The head nurse. She can fly? Is she coming after us? Nurse Scholing shouted. Why? Head nurse, why would you do this? Why betray Second Hospital? Joe, am I? They're all dead. Don't you even care? But the head nurse remained, eerily hovering, silently above them, saying nothing at all. Suddenly, Zhang Jiashi broke the silence. Wait, something's off. She's not just floating. There's something on her. That's when Zhang Ima finally spoke up. So you guys really can't see it? She's not floating at all. She's been impaled by blood-red thorns and strung up there. She's already dead. Nurse Scholing collapsed to the ground. No way. Chong and Imo thought grimly. Silence. They took her out. Then, he noticed more figures off to the side. But when he got a full view of them, his expression nearly shattered. Floating in the air outside the hospital were rows of motionless security guards, frozen in strange, twisted poses. Only Chong Imo could truly see the truth. Each of them had been pierced by blood-red thorns and strung up in the sky. Suddenly, a cloaked man appeared, a sneer on his face. Chong Imo, there you are. In the next instant, countless blood-red thorns shot toward him. The image of the head nurse's impaled body flashed through Chong Mo's mind. Without hesitation, he swept his hand, unleashing a surge of brilliant blue flames. The flames roared to life, devouring everything in their path. The cloaked man scoffed, entirely unimpressed. TCH. So he's just like the rest. Nothing special. Panics when attacked. Flails his powers around, and I was told to personally bring him back. But as the flames died down, he froze. Chong Yama was gone. So that was a smokescreen. Using the fire to cover his escape. Huh? Quick reflexes, I'll give him that. But you won't get far. At that moment, Chong Yamo had led Zhang Yueqi and the others into a hidden room. Nurse Scholing asked, confused, Chong Yamo, what happened? Why did you suddenly drag us back here? Zhang Jiaqi narrowed her eyes. I think I saw red spikes sticking out of you. Xiaoling blinked, noticing red spikes. But I didn't see anything like that. Yeli chimed in. Nice catch, Juchi. You could actually see the spikes. It must be some kind of emotion-based perception. Xiaoling's hopeless. She saw absolutely nothing. Then her gaze shifted to Jinju. And him? Now he's a real mystery. Even I can't figure out what's going on with him. NgocMy silently pulled the spikes from his body, thinking, one thing at a time. Focus on the immediate danger. He had no idea where the spikes had come from. And the moment he pulled each one out, it vanished into thin air. But what's worse, at some point, the entire B block had become surrounded by blood-red thorns. Then NgocMy deliberately extended his hand out the window. He made sure it was exposed, within sight of the blood-red thorns. Nurse Xiaoling tilted her head. What's he doing now? Just as NgocMy started to think he'd misjudged the situation, in the next moment, blood-colored thorns began growing from his hand. He quickly yanked it back. Just as I thought. If they see you, wait a bit, and thorns start growing on you. And this time, it's even worse than before. As he pulled the spikes out one by one, he muttered, What the hell are these things? Yeli suddenly remembered something. I think it's from a hatred-type emotion entity. But the details? No clue. Don't give me that look. I told you, I've got amnesia. What? You don't believe me. Whatever. This isn't the time to argue. Zhang Jiashi whispered nervously. Why isn't Zhang Emma saying anything? Nurse Xiaoling replied. I saw on his file, possible dissociative symptoms. You don't think he's having an episode right now, do you? That's when NgocMy finally spoke. Let me explain. The entire B block has been surrounded by giant, blood-red thorns. That's the power of a hatred-type emotion entity. Once those thorns see you, give it 5 or 6 seconds, and your body will start growing spikes until you die. That's how the guards and the head nurse were killed. I was hit by it too, so stay out of their sight, no matter what. Xiaoling suddenly froze. Wait. I remember now. They're the Black Chain cult. Our hospital files contain descriptions of emotion-based organizations, and the Black Chain is one of the major cults. Over 10 years ago, they tried to destroy Donghai City. They even caused a powerful sadness-type entity to go berserk and die. The entire city blacked out after their plan failed. They went into hiding. All of them are hatred-type entities, and their emotional power takes the form of blood-red thorns. So the infamous blackouts in Donghai were they're doing all along. Yeli clutched her head, a frown creasing her brow. Black Chain cult. Hatred types. There's something important I can't remember. Ugh, memory loss sucks. Suddenly, blood-red spikes erupted from NgocMy's body again. Spikes? How? He wasn't even in view of the thorns. And why is he the only one who's been targeted from the start? That's when Yeli spotted a faint red dot outside the window. She zoomed in, adjusting her visual focus, and saw it clearly. A blood-red eyeball. I see it. That direction. Burn it with fire. Hearing her, NgocMy immediately unleashed a burst of flame in that direction. The fire swept across the area in an instant, swallowing the target, followed by a piercing scream. What the hell did I just hit? NgocMy asked, startled. Yeli explained, that was a condensed emotion construct, an eye with a high stealth level, so you couldn't see it. My guess? The enemy was watching you through it, and that's what triggered the spikes. Before she even finished, more spikes erupted from NgocMy, denser this time. There's another one over there. NgocMy fired again in the direction she pointed. Nurse Xiaoling panicked. NgocMy, what are you doing? Why are you setting everything on fire? Wait, are you losing control too? Zhang Jiashi quickly jumped in. No, it's not that. The spikes on NgocMy's body keep multiplying. He's being attacked. NgocMy kept casting flame after flame, burning down every eyeball, Yeli pointed out. But all of it, every move, was being watched by the cloaked man lurking in the shadows. So, you can see my eyes of hatred? Impressive, but too bad for you. I have plenty more. They follow like a shadow, yet leave no trace. That is the power of hatred. Struggle, resist, run. Ultimately, none of this will matter. Your fate is sealed. Just surrender. Just then, a wave of intense dizziness slammed into NgocMy. In the very next moment, he collapsed to the ground. His body was now entirely covered in blood-red thorns. Zhang Jiashi screamed, tears streaming down her face. Who is this? Who's doing this to us? But then, she saw them. Hundreds. Maybe even thousands of crimson eyes, all staring back at her. Her face went pale. She let out a blood-curdling scream. Nurse Xiaoling looked at her, a worried frown on her face. Zhang Jiaqi, are you okay? Don't tell me you're having an episode too. What are you talking about? Red eyes. I didn't see anything. This must be a hallucination. You're all just imagining things. Yuli sighed. So Zhang Jiaqi can see them too. The eyes. But it doesn't matter now. It's all over. Meanwhile, Zhang Yema tried to process the bizarre sensation of the spikes. They were truly bizarre. They didn't interact with the floor or even his clothes. They only affected his body. If it weren't for the real stabbing pain and his total paralysis, he'd almost think it was all a dream. He quietly asked Yuli, I'm really done for this time, aren't I? Do you have anything left? Yuli answered calmly, Nope. I told you, I used everything back on the ocean. Zhang Yema blinked. You don't even seem worried. If I die, doesn't that mean you're dead too? Correct. Yuli stated flatly. You die, I die. But worrying won't help. Don't worry. No matter how this ends, I'll stay with you. Zhang Yemo remained silent for a moment. Then, he turned to the others. Zhang Jiaqi. Xiaoling Chuanju. You guys need to leave. I think I was the target all along. The spikes aren't growing anymore. Which means they don't want me dead. Just immobilized. They're trying to capture me alive. As long as you don't interfere, you might still make it out. Zhang Jiaqi spoke up. Yeah. From the start, only Zhang Yemo was growing those spikes, but just leaving him behind. Before she could finish, Nurse Xiaoling cut in, her voice distant, almost blank. Yeah. I should just run, but the very next second, she completely broke down. I can't. I'm terrified. Please, someone save us. Anyone. Zhang Jishir gave her a helpless look. That's when Shun Ju stepped forward. Without a word, he bent and lifted Zhang and Mo off the ground. Chinju, what are you doing? Zhang Jiaqi asked in shock. He answered simply, We're taking him. Zhang Jiaqi rushed to stop him. You can't. Those red eyes are still out there. If they see us, we'll get hit too. The only reason we're safe is because they're targeting Chong Emo. If we carry him, we'll be next and we'll never make it out. Jinju just smiled. Come on. Be optimistic. How do we know it's impossible if we never try? Meanwhile, the cloaked man was still watching. Ugh, these meddling pests. Such a pain. Too bad. The high priest ordered me not to kill any patients or nurses, to seal off B block and stir chaos. Once he kills the director, I grab Chong Amo, and we're out. He paused for a moment, his eyes narrowing. Then a twisted grin spread across his face. Screw it. I'll just kill these three. Should be fine, right? You chose the wrong side anyway. But just then, boom. A sudden quake shook the building. What the? I lost visual. The eye of hatred in that area was destroyed. Smoke now poured across the room, where Chong Mo and the others had been. And from within that haze, a crowd of berserk patients began to emerge. The cloaked man noticed immediately. Ah, it's those berserk patients. They must still be hiding inside that room. Suddenly, Zhang Jiaqi shouted. The red eyes. They're gone. Those berserk patients must have destroyed them with their powers. Without missing a beat, the group followed her and ran. While running, Chong Yema turned to Nurse Sholing. Sholing, do you still have the chain you used to restrain me? She nodded. Yes. It's in the equipment room. Second floor. Then that's where we're going. Chong Yemo said firmly. Ili praised him. Smart move. If you absorb the rational energy in that chain, you'll regain your mobility. Jean Getchi led the charge, eyes scanning ahead as she raced forward. A sharp left corner loomed just ahead. Red eye, head right. Yuli whistled. Nice. Her vision pierces straight through solid walls. No wonder her emotional power is so tied to her eyes. But suddenly, Jean Getchi slammed to a stop. Crap, red eyes, ahead and behind us. We're totally boxed in. One blood red eye was closing in from behind, and another steadily drifted towards them from the front. Zhang Jiaqi was completely on edge, her body taut with terror. Nurse Sholing looked like she was on the verge of shattering, while Chuanju simply stared, wide-eyed and frozen. Then boom, explosions erupted both in front and behind them. Flames violently lit up the entire hall. Sholing blinked, dazed. What just happened? Zhang Jiaqi snapped back to reality, her eyes wide. It was the berserk patients. Their powers, they just annihilated both of those red eyes. That's insanely lucky. Chuanju grinned. Told you, gotta stay positive. Every time I think like that, I end up dodging disaster. Jean Getchi and Nurse Sholing slowly, incredulously, turned to stare at him. Chama finally spoke up. Chuanju, don't tell me your emotion power is luck? Meanwhile, the cloaked man was absolutely seething. Why can't I find them anywhere? Damn it all. It's all these useless berserk patients. At that very moment, Chong Yimou and the others were quietly pressed behind a wall. Right above them, a massive hatred eye ominously hovered. Luckily, they were just barely within its blind spot. Both Zhong Jiqi and Nurse Xiaoling were holding their breath. Their hearts pounded with sheer relief. But then, the eye slowly began to turn. Xiaoling and Jiqi flinched back in terror when suddenly, a searing burst of flame whooshed through the air, blasting the hatred eye to smithereens. Another berserk rage patient had wandered into the hallway and spotted them, but before he could even react, a flying brick smacked him square in the skull. The patient dropped like a stone, completely unconscious. And just like that, they made it to the equipment room, miraculously unharmed. Nurse Xiaoling reached for the doorknob, then froze. Crap, I forgot the key. But the moment she said that, cracks spiderwebbed across the door frame. Then, with a crash, the entire door splintered inward. Everyone blinked, utterly stunned. Okay, that's almost too lucky. Once inside, Chong Yimou immediately raced to the chains and started absorbing their rational energy. In an instant, he felt a powerful surge, his strength skyrocketing dramatically. Yuli praised him. Not bad indeed. After being ravaged by hatred energy, your body is now drawing an even more rational force. Nurse Xiaoling stared in awe. That's incredible. You can absorb energy from the chains? What kind of emotion type are you? Chong Yimou didn't answer directly. He simply replied, I'm not sure myself. Chong Yimou's mind raced, looking for a way to turn the tables. Yuli, he asked, if I kill the one who ambushed us, will the thorns outside disappear? Yuli replied, yes. So, how big is the gap between us? Yuli answered bluntly, pretty wide. He's not world-class yet, but you still wouldn't stand a chance in a direct fight. The world usually categorizes emotion entity power into 6 tiers. Tier 1, standard patience. Tier 2, your old enemy Lujia. Tier 3, that glasses guy who backed him up. This attacker? Almost Tier 4. At the top of the scale is Tier 6, world-class. You're actually below Tier 2. The only reason you beat Lujia is because you have a high resistance to anger-based powers. That said, here's the good news. Those thorns trapping B-Block, they're made of his emotion entity. They're loaded with power, meaning he's dumped about 95% of his strength into the barrier. His human body right now? Pretty fragile. So, if you catch him off guard, you could actually kill him. That's when Yuli noticed the look Chong Yimou was giving her. Half skeptical, half really? She immediately pouted. What's that look for? Don't tell me you doubt my judgment. Chong Yimou spoke slowly. Exactly. There's something I just can't wrap my head around. Earlier, you told me the director is fighting a world-class enemy, right? That means you can sense the director's condition. Am I right? Yuli nodded. Yeah. So what? Chong Yimou pressed on. It's because your rank, your position, is higher. You can sense things that are beyond our reach, can't you? If that's true, then we have a real problem. With all that power, why didn't you sense the patient's losing control? Why couldn't you detect the eye of hatred attacks? Shouldn't that have been incredibly easy for someone like you? So, tell me, can I truly trust your judgment? Yuli slowly closed her eyes, a faint smirk gracing her lips. You're sharper than I anticipated. Remember what I told you. In this emotion-driven world, perception is one of the most crucial abilities. Typically, the higher your position, the deeper your understanding of essence. So, the more you can truly perceive. It's merely another form of seeing. But in certain cases, the higher your rank, the less you actually see. Like when your field of vision is entirely blocked. Chong and Yimou frowned. What does that mean? Yuli offered an example. Imagine a dinosaur, far more powerful than an insect. But it wouldn't even notice a tiny bug hiding under a leaf right by its foot. So, things like patient breakdowns, or those hatred emotion entities, they're simply too small, too utterly insignificant. Unless they're literally right in front of me. I won't detect them. The director, though, she's world-class. It's impossible for me not to notice her. It's like how a dinosaur senses another nearby, even through dense trees, through shaking, growls, claw marks, or their distinct scent, of course. World-class beings can train themselves to perceive everything within a specific radius. That's how the director was able to protect the second hospital all this time. But I've got no power left, and half my memories are gone. Because of that, I can't do that anymore. Chong Yamo scratched his head. Oh, my apologies. I just thought you were secretly trying to screw me over. Ili burst out laughing. Relax. But know this. I've personally confirmed the hatred entity sealing off B block. I don't recall the specifics of its power, but I know exactly how strong it is. At a glance, Nurse Sholing glanced at Chong Yamo, a confused look on her face. Why is he spacing out again? Yep, he definitely has split personality disorder. That's when Chong Yamo finally spoke. I've decided we must eliminate the hatred type that ambushed us. Zhang Jiqi blinked. Wait, what? We're going after him? Yes. This is our only shot at getting out of here alive. And I'm the one who's going to make it happen. Jetty, can your motion power pinpoint his location? Zhang Jetty took a deep breath, activating her clairvoyance. Show me the attacker's exact location. Show me. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. I think I saw him. He's in the monitoring room. Meanwhile, the cloaked man was pacing the halls, gasping for air. Damn it, where are they? Why can't I find them anywhere? Just then, Chong Yamo smashed through a wall, charging straight at his target. The cloaked man jolted in utter shock. Chong Mo's surprise attack brought him right behind the cloaked figure. With one swift strike, he pierced clean through the man's shoulder. The man's eyes widened in sheer terror. What the? When did he even get here? Chong Yamo cursed under his breath. Damn it. He dodged just enough. Missed the heart. Can't kill him like that. Suddenly, for blood-red thorns sprouted from the man's body. In the blink of an eye, his body shattered. He split into 4 thorns and shot off in different directions. He literally turned into thorns to escape. That's a thing. Moments later, the cloaked man reformed in another corridor. He gritted his teeth. This is it. I don't know how that brat found me, but I don't need to fight him head-on. As long as I see him again, I've got plenty of ways to make him suffer. Just then, the blood-red thorns began sprouting from Chong Mo's body again, but he kept running, never slowing for a second. The cloaked man burst into laughter. Ha! What's the point of running now? You won't escape this time. Behind Chong Yamo, several eyes of hatred floated after him, relentless. The spikes on his body multiplied, crawling over him like a living cage. And then, he charged straight into a wall. Crash! He smashed right through it, bursting into the room where the cloaked man was hiding. The man's expression twisted in shock. Damn it, I didn't realize he was charging right into my room. But then he sneered, clenching his fist. Phew, you think I'm afraid of you? Suddenly, thorns on Chong Mo's body erupted outwards, violently launching him into the air. Just like the head nurse was brutally killed. A spike even erupted from his mouth, silencing him completely as the cloaked man grinned. Gotta admit, you're tough. Took all those spike hits and still kept moving. But this is where it ends. A blood-red whip of thorns coiled into his hand. Now, enjoy the power of hatred. He laughed maniacally, cracking the whip across Chong Mo's body. Haha, every hit stacks the pain again and again. The damage multiplies too. You should have surrendered. But no, you just had to fight back. Now you suffer. Don't worry. You won't die, but you'll just wish you did 100 times over. After what felt like an eternity of agony, the cloaked man finally stopped. TCH, that should do it. After all those hits, you better have learned your place. Yuli stood to the side, quietly watching Chong Mo's brutal beating. But honestly, that guy's using less than 1/10 of his real power now. Still, wrapping all those chains around yourself. So when you're injured, they feed you rational energy to heal. That's actually pretty clever. And after all that beating, your body's starting to develop resistance to this tier of hatred. Energy. It's time to strike back. The next moment, the thorns shattered. Rational flames erupted from Chong Mo's body, burning away every last thorn wrapped around him. In a flash, he leapt right in front of the cloaked man, 2 fingers extended, glowing with concentrated rational force. The cloaked man clenched his jaw, eyes narrowing with rage. Then, they clashed. The whip of thorns cracked wildly, slashing toward Chong Mo over and over. But Chong Mo countered, each strike unleashing wave after wave of pure rational power. Chong Mo pressed the attack, while the cloaked man kept scrambling to retreat. What the hell? The man growled. This brat's emotional energy. It's not going down at all. And worse, my attacks are losing effectiveness. It's like his defense keeps getting stronger. Damn it. If this keeps up, I'm the one in danger. In a flash, he split into 4 blood-red thorns, Once again, they shot off in 4 different directions. I don't know what you are, but I don't need to fight you head-on in 4 directions. You can't stop them all right here, while I enjoy watching you die slowly. Just then, a burst of blue flame slammed into one of the escaping thorns. A blob of black ink struck a second thorn, eating away at it on contact. A red fireball exploded against the third thorn, incinerating it instantly, and the fourth was intercepted mid-flight by a shimmering energy barrier and shattered into nothing. Black ink fired at a disintegration barrier. These were all emotion powers from the patients. They'd all attack together, completely blocking every escape route. The cloaked man's face twisted. What? That timing is impossible. Damn it, no wait. They don't have emotion beasts hovering over them. They're not out of control. What the hell is? But he never finished the sentence. Chongmo's fingers slashed through the air, and in the next instant, the man's head was sent flying as his body hit the ground. Some cheered in excitement. Yes, we did it. Others shuddered, whispering, we just killed someone, while a few spat out coldly. Serves him right. Through the headset came Zhang Jechi's excited voice. No way. You guys really took down the boss. Chongmo, how did you even think of that? Making the patients regain their senses and come help. Chongmo replied. Shinju happened to spot the intercom equipment in the supply room. That's how the idea came to me. But the real credit goes to you. Without your sight power guiding us, we never would have pulled it off. Zhang Jechi chuckled modestly. Hey, you flatter me. Meanwhile, Yuli fixed her gaze on the cloaked man's severed head and sneered. You people really lucked out. This guy died without ever unleashing his power. Otherwise, even if you all went in together, you'd be corpses by now, dying without firing your ultimate, huh? Then Zhang Jechi asked nervously over the intercom. So what's our next move? Chongmo glanced outside and answered. The thorns are already fading. We'll regroup and get out of here. The danger isn't over. Dean is still fighting the enemy, and there might be more enemies waiting outside. Zhang Yechi pressed anxiously. Then what do we do? Zhang Emo analyzed. The second wing's comms are being jammed. That's why we couldn't make any calls earlier. We need to get beyond the jamming field. Then we can call Dr. Liu. The enemy striking while Dr. Liu was away isn't a coincidence. Only when he returns can we truly break this deadlock. Just as they prepared to leave, a furious roar echoed. Bastards! Bastards! Chongmo snapped his head around to see the cloaked man's severed head floating in the air, screaming, It's all you vermin. How dare you do this to me? But as he raged, the thorny power outside began to fade, only to surge back, converging on him. You insects! Even in death, I'll never let you go. In the next instant, countless thorns sprouted from the stump of his neck, lashing out like deadly tentacles, whipping straight toward Chongmo and the others. They had no choice but to run for their lives. As they ran, Chongmo glanced at Yuli. Wasn't he dead? How can he still attack? Yuli replied, I don't remember clearly, but he was dead. This must be a special ability of the hatred emotion entity. He's condensed all his power. Now, you're no match for him. Just then, Chongmo ran into Zhang Yechi and the other two. At first, the three were stunned by the horrifying sight behind him, then quickly fell in step, joining the desperate escape. Zhang Yechi shouted while running. What the hell happened? Didn't we finish him off? Chongmo answered. No time to explain. Just run. At that moment, one of the enraged patients could no longer hold himself back. He spun around and cursed. Damn it, you just don't quit. Do you? You really think I'm scared of you? Flames erupted violently from the furious patient, and it was already too late for anyone to stop him. In the next instant, countless thorns shredded the enraged patient into pieces. Another patient drowned in depression. He collapsed in terror, his emotions spiraling out of control. Clutching his head, he crumpled to the ground, as black liquid, born of his despair, began to spread all around him. The crushing thorns surged past, flattening him to death. Chongmo shouted urgently, Move! We can't waste any more time. Just then, Nurse Shaoling, an ordinary human, could no longer keep running. Yuli warned, We can't afford any delays. We need her phone. Without it, our chances of survival plummet. But at that dire, unlucky moment, Nurse Shaoling tripped over a stone and crashed to the ground. The thorn forest behind them was already closing in fast. Zhang Jiechi cried, Shaoling. Yuli's face instantly darkened. Damn it. If she dies here, we lose the phone. Hurry. At her words, Chong Imo dashed straight toward Nurse Xiaoling. Nurse Xiaoling was utterly consumed by fear. She cried out, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Save me. Chong Imo, please save me. Chuanju shouted from the side. Brother, you can't save her. Don't throw your life away. Nurse Xiaoling heard every word. As she saw Chong Imo charging desperately toward her, memories of her own failures flooded her mind, along with all the times she'd been weak. Trembling, she squeezed her eyes shut. Then, she recalled how Chong Imo and the others had fought and endured, and finally, that moment when Nurse Joe had risked everything to save her. In her vision, Nurse Joe's figure overlapped perfectly with Chong Imo's rushing silhouette. Nurse Xiaoling clenched her teeth. She shouted, Chong Imo, take the phone. Go. Don't worry about me. Call Dr. Liu back to avenge us. But when Chong Imo reached out, he didn't grab the phone. Instead, he seized Nurse Xiaoling's wrist with a powerful yank. He pulled her behind him, then unleashed his rational power, forcing back the blood-red thorns. Chong Imo roared, Go. I'll hold him with the power of chains. Get out and call Dr. Liu now. Zhang Gyosh and the other two didn't hesitate. They bolted straight toward the hospital exit. The writhing thorns were locked in place. He just couldn't break through Chong Mo's blockade. Just then, Yuli materialized behind Chong Imo, her voice laced with ice. Well, look at you, playing the big hero, she sneered. You'll get us both killed. Chong Yamo mumbled, Sorry. I lost my head there for a moment. Yuli chuckled. Good thing you're the rational emotion entity. If you don't go crazy once in a while, how can you possibly control our reason? Try it. Absorb every ounce of power from your chains in one breath. Chong Imo frowned. But what if I lose control? Yuli smirked. You'll never know until you try. Fine. With gritted teeth, Chong Imo began to absorb all the power sealed within the chains. As soon as he closed his eyes, the rational monster was summoned from the deepest corners of his heart. From that moment on, he finally possessed the strength to confront the hatred monster head-on. Meanwhile, two mysterious figures stood on a hillside, watching the scene unfold. The woman in black gasped. The thorn barrier has vanished. Is that Chong Mo's emotion beast? How could he possibly wield such power? What in the world happened? The woman in white replied calmly. I fear only he himself knows the answer to that. The woman in black pressed urgently. The situation has changed. Please act now, Master Xiao. The fight over there isn't finished. If you interfere now, everything we've built will be ruined. The woman in white refused coldly. No. Our agreement was clear. I only deal with the world-class entity behind Chong Imo. Everything else is none of my concern. The woman in black grew anxious. Then at least use your world-class power to blanket this area, so no one escapes. Lighting a cigarette, the woman in white exhaled slowly. That would still mean I'm interfering, and besides, I stick strictly to the contract. She added casually, besides, there's no need to panic. We're holding the exit at Zone B. You can just pick them off one by one. They're not getting out. Meanwhile, Chuanju and the others had already made their escape from the hospital. Jean Jechi complained, Damn, it's so dark. Are we really going to make it out? Maybe we should have taken a main road after all. Chuanju shook his head. No way. We can't use the front gate. What if the enemy's already waiting for us? The mountains are our only shot. With our brother's emotion power tearing everything down, we can just carve a hole out back and slip away. Zhang Jiechi glanced at Nurse Xiaoling. So, Xiaoling, any signal yet? Nurse Xiaoling stared at her phone. Still nothing. Then suddenly, her eyes lit up. Wait, there's a signal. A moment later, the phone chimed. Sorry, the number you dialed is powered off. Tears spilled down Nurse Xiaoling's face. How could this be? If that's the case, then Chong Imo. But Shinju grinned, unfazed. Keep calling. Things always work out. In the end, Nurse Xiaoling's despair vanished in an instant. That's right. With Shinju here, luck will definitely be on our side. Meanwhile, the battle between Chong Imo and the hatred entity raged on. The patients who had regained their sanity were fleeing desperately, alongside the nurses. And the clash between Chong Imo and the cloaked man had reached a fever pitch. The cloaked man roared, Bastard. At once, he manipulated the thorns, weaving them into a massive spearhead. In the blink of an eye, it shot straight toward Chong Imo. Chong Mo's eyes hardened, and he unleashed a burst of blue flames that reduced the spear to ashes. The cloaked man surged with power once more. Countless thorns pierced straight through the body of the rational monster. Driven by hatred, the thorns went berserk, striking again and again without pause. Standing on the rational monster's palm, NgocMy fought desperately to block the onslaught. At that moment, the chains wrapped around him suddenly snapped. Yili shouted, "No! Even if you've absorbed the chain's power, even if you've built resistance against hatred, the gap between you is still an entire tier. You can't beat him head-on." NgocMy demanded. "Then what should I do?" Yili's voice dropped low. "There's one last chance. Use your rational emotion power on his mind, the same way you did with the patients. He's been dead for a long time. It's only his hatred that keeps him standing. If his spirit regains reason, his entire power might just crumble. It's all or nothing now. Time to snap him back to his senses." With a surge of fierce determination, NgocMy lunged straight for the cloaked man's head. In that very instant, NgocMy's entire body erupted in a flame of pure rationality. The cloaked man, consumed by pure hatred, let out a furious roar, commanding every thorn around him to turn their sharp points directly at NgocMy. Within mere seconds, NgocMy's figure was completely swallowed by the writhing thorns. The cloaked man kept roaring madly, until NgocMy's hand suddenly appeared right before his eyes. Smack! NgocMy's palm pressed firmly against the man's face. As the power of reason poured into him, the man's madness slowly faded. His eyes regained clarity, and awareness flooded back. He blinked in confusion for a moment, then whispered softly, "What is this feeling? It's been so long, to not be ruled by hatred, to finally be myself again." Tears streamed uncontrollably down his face, laughing and crying all at once. He shouted, "Ha ha! So that's it. Heaven hasn't abandoned us. It hasn't abandoned me." Then he smiled at NgocMy and said gently, "I'm sorry for hurting you." NgocMy stood there, stunned by the sudden shift. He thought, what the hell? That's one heck of a mood swing. But the very next instant, the man's head exploded, and every thorn around them disintegrated into dust. NgocMy fell from the air, landing steadily on the ground. "Is he dead?" he asked. "Yes," Yili replied with a cheerful nod. NgocMy couldn't stop thinking about the cloaked man's final words. It felt oddly unsettling. Then, Yili pointed ahead. "Look over there." NgocMy turned his gaze and saw a red, thorn-covered organ, pulsing like a living heart. "What is that?" he asked. Yili explained. "That's the core of hatred. Remember when Lu Sha killed your supervisor? It was to devour this very thing. When you killed Lu Sha and that guy with the glasses, the same core appeared, but you didn't have time to collect it. It holds all of his emotional energy. Too bad you're not a hatred-type emotion being. If only your rationality monster could absorb it, its power would skyrocket, and you'd be able to draw even more strength from it." "So that's it," NgocMy muttered, feeling strange. "Why won't my power stop?" Yili snapped her head toward him, her pupils shrinking in alarm. "No, this is bad. You're losing control." The rational emotion entity brought its massive hands together, as if to swallow NgocMy whole. "Losing control?" he asked, utterly confused. In the next instant, blue crystalline growths spread across his eyes. "Calm as ever," he asked. "If I'm losing control, what should I do?" Yili shouted back. "First of all, don't be so calm. Feel something. Fear, anger, happiness, sadness, anything. Remember what it's like to feel again." NgocMy whispered. "Fear, happiness, anger. What are those?" Yili's pupils trembled. No, he's completely losing it, isn't he? If only I could remember the law, maybe there'd still be hope. But I've lost that part of my memory. I can't stop this anymore." After a moment, she sighed in resignation. "Forget it. It was always a gamble anyway. At least these past days, I wasn't alone." NgocMy, "Looks like this is the end for us." Just as she was about to give up, a familiar energy brushed past her senses. She quickly turned and saw it coming from the core of hatred. With each pulse of that crimson core, Yeli's own heart thumped and sank. "What? Impossible. Am I imagining this? No, this isn't an illusion. It's faint, but that's my power." Yeli's eyes widened with sudden hope. "NgocMy, hold on. We're not done yet. See that blue energy? That's my power. If you touch it, I might recover some of my memories and maybe, just maybe find a way to save you." NgocMy did as Yeli said and slowly stepped forward. Yeli watched him approach the core of hatred, her mind swirling with questions. Why does that thing carry a trace of my power? Could it be that my past is somehow tied to the Black Chain cult? By now, Song Emo was only inches away from touching the core, the moment his fingertips brushed against it. A burst of blinding white light exploded outward. In an instant, the light swallowed them both whole. The next second, a vivid vision exploded before their eyes. Inside a grand cathedral, countless believers shouted in unison, "Long live the High Priestess." But the moment the woman on stage raised her hand, the hall fell into complete silence. Her crimson lips curved as she spoke, calm and cold. "I founded the Black Lotus cult. I saved you all, but that isn't enough. To restore true rationality to this world, we must destroy Donghai City." Song Emo froze where he stood, stunned, eyes wide in disbelief. Wait, Edie? The founder of the Black Chain cult? He remembered what Nurse Shaoling once said, that more than a decade ago, the cult tried to destroy Donghai City, unleashing a monstrous sorrow entity that drowned the entire city in darkness. Song Emo stared at Yeli in utter shock. 10 years ago, the one who tried to destroy Donghai City was her. She caused the depression entity to lose control, turned Donghai into the Black Sea. Who is she really? What is she? After their consciousness snapped back to reality, Song Mo's rationality entity went completely berserk. His body sprouted jagged, stone-like growths once more, until he collapsed helplessly to the ground. Yeli looked at Song Emo. "Don't rush. I remembered something. I remember how to save you." She lifted the core of hatred and said, "Eat this. You don't need much. Just one bite. It will save you." Song Emo stared at her, but didn't speak right away. He only noticed a faint smile tug at the corner of her mouth. The core writhed in their hands, and for a moment, both Song Emo and Yeli were silent. After a beat, Song Emo exhaled, then opened his mouth. "All right. Then, too bad I can't move. Could you feed me?" Yeli leaned in and placed the core in Song Mo's mouth. He bit down and swallowed it whole. The next instant, Song Emo felt a surge of new power inside him. His body stood up on its own, and blood began to appear across his skin. A torrent of blood burst forth. Then, thorns sprouted all along his arms, and even his feet erupted with barbs. His whole body bristled with spikes. Song Emo turned his head toward Yeli. He said nothing, only that small, knowing smile lingered on his face. He was about to ask what exactly had happened when the thorns suddenly surged outward from his body. The stony growths that had encased him vanished instantly. Song Emo collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. Yeli approached, cradling his head gently. Resting it on her knee, she whispered, "Thank you for trusting me." Song Emo managed a wry smile in response. "Don't get sentimental," he retorted. "I had no choice." A queenly edge crept into Yeli's expression. "Rest now, rationality entity. There's no need to run anymore." Song Emo said, "So after all this fuss, you're the founder of the Black Chain cult? But you were supposed to have been missing for years. Can you still command them?" Yeli replied, "Probably not. I remembered a bit after the attempt to destroy Donghai City failed. The cult fractured. The world-class hatred entity that showed up this time was once led by Xiao Yan, the main opposing faction leader. Back then, if you'd fallen into his hands, you wouldn't have ended well." Song Emo panicked. "Then what are you waiting for? Run." But Yeli replied calmly, "There's no need. We can't escape anymore." The next instant, Xiao Yan appeared beside them. He uttered just 3 chilling words. "It's over." Meanwhile, elsewhere, the director of the second hospital was suspended mid-air by massive thorn vines of hatred. The director glared upward, furious. "Damn it. Get back here." The whole scene was clearly visible through a pair of binoculars. The woman holding them, an observer stationed at the perimeter, muttered, "Isn't the cult master being reckless? The director's still alive." And he went after Song Emo instead. The main target of this operation is the director. What if she survives? The white cloud woman beside her answered coolly, "You don't understand the power of a hatred entity. She's been fighting Xiaoyin for too long. Her body's overloaded with hatred energy. For now, she's running on pure adrenaline, pure emotional overdrive. But once that fades, the hatred will consume her from within. Even if Xiaoyin does nothing, she'll still die. It's irreversible." Still, Xiao does seem a bit impatient. He seems rather interested in Song Emo, doesn't he? Forget it. Their grim task complete, 5 corpses lay beneath their feet. All of them had tried to escape at once. Meanwhile, inside the Donghai City Emotion Management Bureau, within a tightly sealed conference room, Tension thickened the air. Dr. Lu finally snapped. How much longer will this damn meeting drag on? She discreetly reached for her phone, hoping for a quick break. But then, someone interrupted her. Dr. Lu, this is a classified meeting. Please, keep your phone off. Dr. Lu clenched her jaw in frustration. Oh, so just because there are more of you, I can't do a damn thing about it, huh? The man replied flatly. Endure it. We are all emotion entities here. Surely you can handle a little discomfort. Suddenly, Dr. Lu shot to her feet. The bureau chief immediately tensed. Dr. Lu, where are you going? To the bathroom, all right. Or do you plan on following me there too? The chief had no comeback. Moments later, Dr. Lu finally pulled out her phone, safe inside a women's restroom stall. Seriously, if this meeting keeps dragging on, I'm going to lose control. Just as she powered it on, Nurse Shalling's urgent call came through. Dr. Lu answered, her pupils shrinking sharply. What? The second hospital was attacked. The guards are all dead, and the director's been captured. Dr. Lu flung the window wide open. Her gaze locked onto the second hospital's direction. She swiftly channeled her emotional energy into her eyes. A red glow spread across her pupils as her vision stretched outward, slicing through the skyline, straight toward the hospital. In the very next second, the second hospital's two familiar towers snapped into view. The director's emotion entity still floated high above the complex, like a colossal, looming guardian shadow. Dr. Lu let out a shaky breath. Good. The director's monster is still there. Maybe it's not as bad as I initially thought. But the relief lasted only a heartbeat. Wait, what's that? The entity's entire body suddenly erupted in writhing black thorns. Dr. Lu's pupils flared crimson. Damn it! With a deafening boom, the restroom wall exploded. From the meeting room, a chorus of terrified screams erupted. What happened? Did something explode? The bureau chief's face went pale. This is bad. He bolted out of the conference room. The next thing he saw was a gaping hole ripped right through the wall, and a crimson blur shooting straight into the sky. Cold sweat trickled down his temples. Dr. Lu had already transformed into a gigantic crimson bird, with wings spanning a colossal 100 meters. She tore through the clouds at blinding speed, heading straight for the second hospital. Kinji Entertainment, Donghai City, HQ. A man by the window stared intently at the crimson streak. Who the hell is that, showing off like that in broad daylight? Wait, that direction, toward the second hospital. Is she starting a fight? No. Something's wrong there. His expression hardened. That aura, that hatred, that entity. The Black Chain cult is attacking the hospital. Langshao International, Donghai Branch. An old man looked out the window and snorted. Another unknown entity? This city just can't stay quiet. Meanwhile, people on the streets were frozen in place, staring up at the blood-red sky. Those attuned to emotional power could barely stay, standing under the crushing pressure, while others ducked for cover, trembling. A girl with a guitar on her back also spotted Dr. Lu. She simply let out a soft hum. Meanwhile, Nurse Scholing wasn't sure if Dr. Lu could make it in time. Chin comforted her, "Don't worry. She'll be fine." Suddenly, Scholing thought of something. Right. Zhang Jiechi, you can see what you want to see, right? Can't you try to look at Song Yimo's situation? All right, I'll try. Zhang Yuechi focused her mind intensely. Moments later, she saw Song Yimo being captured by the cult master of the Black Chain. She gasped, "Oh no, Song Yimo's being taken." The next second, the vision in her mind turned a terrifying crimson. Blood began to flow from her eyes. Zhang Jiqi screamed, clutching at them in pain. "Jiqi, are you okay?" Shaoling cried out, "My eyes. They hurt." A moment later, the room around them was swallowed by a sinister red glow. The cult master of the Black Chain raised his head toward the sky. Within several kilometers around the second hospital, everything turned into a world of flowing blood. His pupils narrowed. "She's here." In the next instant, his hand was sliced clean off, soaring through the very air itself. From the heart of the crimson storm, a bespectacled blonde emerged. Dr. Lu, finally making her grand entrance. The Black Chain cult leader's arm was instantly severed, flying so fast. He didn't even have time to react. He gritted his teeth. That doctor, so strong. In the next instant, he shattered into dozens of crimson thorns, scattering in every single direction. Dr. Lu extended a hand toward the rapidly fleeing thorns. A heartbeat later, the sky erupted in a devastating rain of spears. The escaping blood-red thorns were pierced and utterly decimated. one after another. Yet, a few strands still managed to slip through, reaching the red barrier and drilling desperately forward, only to find it completely impenetrable. The cult leader gasped, a barrier like space. Dr. Lu's gaze sharpened into a lethal glare. Like a sharpened blade, she stomped the ground and shot forward, swinging her scythe to cleave the remaining thorns apart, feeling a lethal crisis rapidly closing in. The cult leader manifested even more blood-red thorns. To block her path, Dr. Lu showed not a single trace of fear. Her scythe whipped before her in rapid, deadly arcs, slicing through the thorns like wheat falling before a reaper's sickle. The Black Chain cult leader desperately kept struggling to tear open the barrier. Gritting his teeth once more, he unleashed every ounce of his power, finally ripping a gaping hole in the boundary. It worked, he thought, bolting through the opening to escape. But Dr. Lu was already closing in, right on his heels. He realized with dread, the barrier was already repairing itself. If this continued, he'd never, ever get out. He shouted back, "Shouldn't you check on your director first?" Dr. Lu hesitated, a trace of clarity returning to her eyes. She clenched her jaw, turning back abruptly. She lifted the collapsed NgocMy from the ground, then flew toward where the director was pinned. Seeing the director suspended in the air by blood-red thorns, she swung her scythe and shattered the thorns in an instant. Then she carried both the director and NgocMy to an open area. Dr. Lu grabbed her phone and roared furiously, "Damn it, why is the emotion administration so damn slow?" A weak voice then came from the ground. The director whispered, "Qingji, don't waste your strength. I'm too old, but now I finally feel calm. It seems that only at the very edge of death can a person truly break free from emotion." Hearing this, tears streamed uncontrollably down Dr. Lu's face. In the very next instant, a terrifying killing intent exploded from her. "I'll kill him, and everyone behind him. The Black Chain cult. I will kill them all." NgocMy reeled from the overwhelming murderous aura. The raw killing intent surged outward, completely engulfing the second hospital. Chuanjiu and the weaker emotion-born beings trembled violently. Only Nurse Shaoling, a mere human, managed to stay barely steady. Even the 3 Black Chain members, who'd fled far away, shuddered. "What the heck? We can feel her killing intent even from here." Dr. Lu kept muttering, "I'll kill them. I'll kill them all." Just then, a frail, gentle hand touched her cheek. "Director, control your emotions. Don't let my efforts be in vain. Come closer. After I'm gone, that kid NgocMy will need you to look after him." Dr. Lu sobbed uncontrollably. "Director, no. You'll be fine. You'll be fine." The director sighed softly. "You're still just a child, aren't you? From here on, director, you'll have to walk your own path." As he finished speaking, his hand slipped from hers. Dr. Lu's pupils constricted sharply. The director closed his eyes, his breath fading completely. A heart-piercing scream echoed across the entire hospital. "Director!" Soon after, Dr. Lu found Shaoling, the nurse, and the others in the forest, with NgocMy by her side. Not far away, they also discovered 4 more survivors. Meanwhile, agents from the Emotion Management Bureau arrived at the second hospital. Even the bureau chief was stunned by the sheer devastation before his eyes. Later, Dr. Lu found the head nurse's corpse among the ruins. The head nurse's eyes were rolled back, her mouth frozen wide open in terror. Dr. Lu's pupils tightened as she stared blankly at the lifeless body. Slowly, she clenched her fists. The next day, at Donghai First Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Lu said to NgocMy and the other 2, "Go get some rest, especially you. NgocMy, you're still injured, yet you're helping out everywhere. Don't worry, this is downtown Donghai, so it's safe." After that, Chunju and the others waved goodbye and headed off to rest. At that moment, the young man standing beside NgocMy seemed hesitant, as if wanting to say something. Seeing him struggle to speak, NgocMy asked, "What's wrong?" "Well, all right. My name is Lucian Leonard. I heard you can stabilize emotion-born beings and suppress emotional power, right, more or less? Then please, help me out." At his request, NgocMy gently placed his hand on Luo Xianliang's head, helping suppress his emotional power. After a moment, NgocMy withdrew his hand, announcing, "It's done." Luo Xianliang froze for a second as his true emotions flooded back. The next instant, he broke down, crying in unbearable agony. NgocMy watched him suddenly collapse into tears, confused, stepping forward to ask softly, "Hey, are you okay, man?" Luo Xianliang choked out, "Sister Joe? I killed Sister Joe. Changma finally remembered. Yes. Last night, it was him. Changma quickly tried to comfort him. Please, let it go. You didn't do it on purpose. She's already gone. Crying won't change anything. But Luo Xi and Liang only cried harder. Don't comfort me. I deserve to die. I'd secretly liked Sister Joe for so long. Last night, I went to confess to her. But I ended up killing her. She was so good to me, and I killed her. And just now, I didn't even feel sad. I even laughed, damn it. I actually laughed. Chongyamo, do you think I'm still human? Maybe I should just die. Watching him fall apart, Chongyamo actually felt it was a bit over the top, but decided to help anyway. He took out the pendant Sister Joe had entrusted to him. She asked me to give this to you, and she left you a message. She said, she hoped this little light could brighten the darkness around you. Chongyamo repeated the exact words she'd told him when she handed over the pendant. Luo Xi and Liang stopped crying, simply staring blankly at the pendant in his hands. Then, Changma placed the pendant into Luo Xi and Liang's hand. Luo Xi and Liang instinctively tightened his grip around it. He choked out, Chongyamo, thank you. The next day, when Chongyamo opened Luo Xi and Liang's room, what he saw was a body hanging from the ceiling. He held a note in his hand. On it were the words, I started laughing again. Sorry, I can't forgive. A version of myself who killed Sister Joe and still felt happy. Chongyamo calmly asked, is this truly necessary? Yeli replied, for most people, death is the only escape from emotion's iron grip. Yeli softly added, Chongyamo, haven't you realized you're no different? Meanwhile, a woman made a call from a winding mountain road. Miss Song, don't worry, I'll be in the city soon. Thanks for everything. Freedom feels absolutely wonderful. It's just a shame Chongyamo wasn't brought back, though. Still, Miss Anna will handle everything from here on. Keep the plan moving. I'm no longer the head nurse. I no longer have to hold back anything. That woman was none other than the former head nurse of Donghai's second psychiatric hospital, Yinbai. In a private manor owned by Donghai City's Song family, Miss Song walked in from outside. Master Zhao, thank you for your hard work this time. Once everything is complete, we'll keep our promise. Master Zhao replied, absent-mindedly, because one thought echoed through his mind. Yeli, you're alive. At the Yingjing Daxia Central Bureau of Emotional Entities, Arbitration, Court Number 1. The judge announced the verdict. Chun Lu, on new calendar year 1225 in Jingang City, improperly used emotional power, causing 17 serious injuries and extensive damage to public facilities. Final ruling, permanent imprisonment, effective immediately. The gavel struck, officially ending the trial. Chun Li's emotions exploded all at once. Are you kidding me? I object. I didn't do it on purpose. Why should I be punished like this? Do you know who I am? I'm a provincial-level emotional entity, and the company behind me is Chinji. You can't treat me like this. I want to appeal. I demand an appeal. The judge replied coldly, I'm sorry. Any ruling made by the Central Bureau is final. Take him away. As the bailiff moved in, Chun Lu erupted again. I said, I don't accept this. A massive emotional entity appeared above his head, but the very next moment, an even larger emotional entity manifested above his, pressing down with overwhelming force. Chun Lu instantly shot up, unable to move. The judge warned, let me remind you, any attempt at resistance will result in your immediate termination. Chun Li's heartbeat surged, cold sweat soaking through his clothes. Moments later, he was escorted out of the court. A juror whispered in awe that was incredible. Even a provincial-level entity had to submit. The judge answered calmly. Of course, this is the central headquarters, the supreme authority over emotional entities in Dacia. Even national-level entities must obey the law here. The juror continued, the case is wrapped up. When do we report to Elder CI? Wait a bit, someone said. Elder CI is still in a meeting. The highest authority meeting on emotional entities in Dacia. This weekly assembly, which decides the fate of all emotional entities in Dacia, is known as the Circle Council. The Donghai City incident has caused too much impact. Since we can't reach agreement on the previous topic, let's move to the next one. How should we deal with these three individuals? Oh, they look young. They're still patients, aren't they? Normally, these three wouldn't even qualify to be mentioned in this council. But since this concerns the second hospital attack, we should still discuss it. According to the reports, CI Ming said, these three contributed greatly in this incident. that I propose awarding them the bronze medal, along with a certain amount of emotional resources, and also bringing them into the Donghai City Management Bureau for training. What do you all think? Jigwan replied. No objections, Duan Xian added. No objections for me either. The council leader Wei Shouhua paused for a moment before turning to ask old Lei. What's your take? Lei Jiao stayed silent for a few seconds. Then he suddenly burst into a loud laughter. Xi Ming frowned. What is there something wrong with my proposal? Lei Jiao rubbed his forehead, laughing uncontrollably. This is exactly why you people sitting in offices never understand what's really happening on the ground. Want me to give you the full picture? Shinju, his ability is likely luck. Zhang Yachi, her ability allows her to see the intel she wishes to see in this one. Chong Mo, his power is probably connected to the restraint chains. Xi Ming mused. If that's truly the case, then these three are truly exceptional talents. Especially Chong Mo. In that scenario, why don't we just transfer them directly to the Central Bureau for focus training? That would truly maximize their value. But Lei Zhao shook his head. Don't rush things. Let me finish explaining their backgrounds first. Zhang Jiaqi's background is perfectly clean. An ordinary family, nothing unusual there. But the problems truly start with Chuanju. He's not even a citizen of Dasha. He seemingly appeared in Donghai City out of nowhere, was found by a passerby, and then sent to the psychiatric hospital. And Chong Mo, he's even more suspicious. There must be a world-class entity behind him, and from what I can tell, not just an ordinary world-class one. The emotional entity backing him is likely the same type as Chong Mo, meaning a world-class entity of an undiscovered, unclassified type. His admission to the second hospital, that was clearly arranged by this world-class being. And just a few days after he entered the hospital, the place was attacked at the... Oh, you really think that's just a coincidence? And his so-called contribution, was it truly something significant? The Black Chain cult still managed to kill the old director. He merely saved some patients. Hardly enough to affect the larger situation. Xi Ming asked in a low voice. You mean? Lei Zhao slammed his palm on the table. Exactly. That's exactly what I mean. I suspect he is the Black Chain cult's undercover agent, planted right inside the bureau. Therefore, I propose we apprehend him immediately. Meanwhile, at Donghai City First Psychiatric Hospital, Chong Mo asked Yuli, have you remembered everything? Why did you create the Black Chain cult back then? And why did you try to destroy Donghai City? Yuli grabbed her hair in frustration. Oh, I can't remember anything. Chong Mo reminded her. Master Xiao seemed really fixated on you. He grabbed my throat, demanding to know where you were hiding and why. Yuli quickly explained. That's because he's afraid of me. Chong Mo continued. So, even that cultist recognized your power as well. Yuli thought for a moment. Probably over 10 years ago. He was just a kid, corrupted by hatred. Always hovering at the edge of losing control. I never expected him to change so drastically after all these years. She looked up, instantly catching Chong Mo's suspicious gaze. Yili immediately pouted. Don't look at me like that. We're on the same team, Chong Mo replied calmly. Being on the same team with someone like you. Who knows when I'll get sold out? Yili waved her hands frantically. No way, relax. Then her tone suddenly shifted. But I just remembered something very important. Chong Mo frowned. What is it? Yili said with a grave expression. Shouldn't we be running for our lives right now? Chong Mo was puzzled. Why would we run? Yili replied. I remember the original reason behind our plan. We came to this second hospital because of the old director. I must have had a history with her and knew exactly what kind of person she was. With your condition, once you entered this hospital, she would have done everything in her power to protect you. But now that she's dead, I can't trust anyone else. And no one knows how Deja's higher-ups will decide your fate. That's why running is our safest bet. Chong Mo was surprised. That old lady would really protect me? She was that nice? But the problem is, if we don't rely on the government, where do we even go? Yili hesitated. Although Xiao Yin is the current Black Chain leader, there should still be people in the cult willing to follow me, willing to die for me. Chong Mo frowned. That sounds extremely unreliable. Just then, someone knocked on the door. Chong Mo opened it to find Dr. Lu smiling warmly. Chong Mo, how are you feeling? Dr. Lu stepped into the room. And, pouring a glass of water, she said, I really didn't expect this. Back then, you looked so ordinary. But during this incident, You saved so many people. On behalf of the second hospital, thank you. Chong Amo quickly replied humbly. Doctor, you're being too kind. I didn't expect any of this either. Dr. Lu suddenly changed the topic. By the way, what about the incident on the Emperor's ship? What exactly happened there? And what's the deal with that world-class emotional entity behind you? Chong Amo froze. He never imagined Dr. Lu already knew so much. The next moment, a hand clamped around his throat. Dr. Lu lifted him off the ground. You thought no one knew about that? You're seriously underestimating Dasha's intelligence network. Tell me, where's the world class backing you up? She had already completely succumbed to a furious rage. Chong Imo struggled with every ounce of his strength, but he couldn't break free from her iron grip. He desperately asked Ely, "What do I do now? Should I expose you?" Ely shouted, "No, absolutely not. Just say you don't know anything." Chong Imo pressed, "And if I do expose you, I'm innocent anyway." Ely panicked. "Chong Imo, if I die? You die too. And don't you forget, I was once the cult leader who tried to destroy Donghai City. If they know I exist inside of you, they'll never let me go, and they'll never let you go either." Chong Imo thought for a moment. Then he looked at Dr. Lu and spoke. "Dr. Lu, what exactly is a world class?" A flicker of clarity returned to her eyes for a moment, but it was instantly replaced by an intense fury. She slammed Chong Imo onto the floor and drove her blade straight into his shoulder. Still pretending after killing Luja? You fought a world class on the Emperor's ship. Plenty of emotional entities were aboard. You think you can hide that from everyone? Tell me, where's the world class behind you? Ely quickly told Chong Imo. Hold on, Dr. Lu is probably just trying to intimidate you. Chong Imo answered, "Don't worry, I know that much." He turned to Dr. Lu and spoke. What exactly happened on the Emperor's ship? I always thought it was all just a dream. When I woke up on the beach that day, I came straight here, to the second hospital. Dr. Lu drove another blade straight into his other shoulder. Lies. You walked 30 kilometers from the beach to the hospital, and every single camera in Donghai City failed to capture you. What exactly were you hiding from all of them? I don't know. I was just so confused. It just felt like a voice was telling me where to go. Dr. Lu roared. Do you have any idea? The very day you were admitted here, the Emotion Management Bureau came to take you away. It was the director who protected you with everything she had. She didn't want you to go astray, and she was so wrong about you. You're the Black Shane cult's mole. You helped them attack this second hospital. You helped them kill the director. Damn you, Dr. Lu raised her blood sigh. Murderous intent overflowing. A surge of mortal danger washed over him. Chong Imo slid sideways, narrowly dodging the fatal strike. As he got up, his heart pounded wildly. Dr. Lu truly intended to kill him. She was completely overtaken by her emotions. Yeli warned him, careful. This doctor is stronger than anyone you've met. Before you must make her regain her reason. Chong Imo calculated quickly. This was his only chance. Use fire to block her vision, then rush in and inject reason directly into her mind. But when he tried to release the flames, he froze in shock. The fire wouldn't manifest. What should have been burning flames had turned into a sticky, jelly-like mass at the same moment. Dr. Lu charged toward him in a fury. The red side of death grew larger and larger in his eyes. A university professor was hung up in midair just to broadcast his defecation live. Viewers in the live chat instantly recognized him. It was Professor Wong. The purple-haired man holding the phone taunted Professor Wong. Your students recognized you, congrats. Professor Wong panicked, you bastard. Let me go? The purple-haired man watched the scrolling comments and mocked. Can't hold it anymore, huh? Soon your entire university will know. Not just co-workers and family. Everyone who knows you hearing this. Professor Wong lost control completely. Please let me go, please. And with his emotions spiraling, the entity above his head swelled larger and larger. A man holding a letter asked, how long is this going to take? I've got an important message. The purple-haired man replied casually. Almost there, relax. I fed him some laxatives, he won't last long. He continued taunting. A grand professor performing like this in front of thousands of people. What will everyone think of you? Truly shameless, Professor Wong. At that moment, the professor couldn't hold it anymore. A series of wet explosive sounds echoed in the room. The live chat erupted instantly. Oh my gosh, what an incredible spray from the professor. Holy moly, this is absolutely insane. The comments section absolutely erupted in hysteria. But the live stream was abruptly cut off because, right at that moment, the emotional entity atop the professor's head had finally completed its metamorphosis. The very next instant, an even larger, emotional monster appeared and devoured the freshly evolved one. Only then did the purple-haired man finally speak. All right, let's talk about why you came to me. The man with the hat handed over a file. These 3 are the targets. Preferably alive, but if not, dead is fine. Just make sure their emotional cores are retrieved. The purple-haired man scanned the file. So, all street-level nobodies, except for this one with glasses. Suspected city level? The hat-wearing man nodded. Correct. Also, we suspect 2 world-class entities are protecting him. The purple-haired man stared, stunned. 2 world-class protectors? That's insane. And you're giving this job to me? The man replied, the client has a powerful background, and no one but you can take this job. The purple-haired man thought for a moment, then tossed the file aside. Where's the challenge if there's no difficulty? How would I show my excellence? The first psychiatric hospital of Donghai isn't far. You'll have their emotional cores soon. At that very same moment, back at the first psychiatric hospital, Dr. Lu charged at Chong Mo with her blood scythe. The deathly red blade grew rapidly in Chong Mo's pupils. In the next moment, blood splattered. Chong Mo crashed heavily onto the floor. Dr. Lu stood there, gasping for breath. Her hands trembled, just a little more, and her scythe would have taken Chong Mo's head clean off. It turned out that the rational force Chong Mo released at the last moment had still touched Dr. Lu's head, which was why she managed to stop her strike at the very last second. The blood surging around her body also began to contract, gradually pulling back into Dr. Lu's body. Dr. Lu asked blankly, "What did you do to me?" Chong Mo answered calmly, "I restored your reason." Dr. Lu fell silent for a few seconds, then suddenly burst into tears. I'm so sorry. I couldn't control my emotions. I never really wanted to kill you. I completely failed the director's expectations. Both Chong and Mo fell completely silent. The sudden shift was so drastic, he didn't even know how to react. Then, Dr. Lu began to explain everything. The higher-ups had argued endlessly about his fate. Some insisted he was a spy and demanded his immediate arrest, to be imprisoned and interrogated without hesitation. Others believed he wasn't and argued for further observation. But in the end, the highest leader of the Central Emotional Authority made the final, decisive call. Chong Emma would be placed entirely under her responsibility. Chong Emma pointed at himself, utterly stunned. The highest leader personally decided to protect me? Someone as utterly insignificant as me. Dr. Lu looked a little embarrassed. Well, maybe it has something to do with me, she mumbled. The final decision regarding you was handed to me before she passed away. The director herself asked me to take good care of you. But since the intel suggested you truly might be a spy, I wanted to test you. I didn't expect I'd almost kill you. As she said this, she burst into tears once again. Oh no, I've failed the director, she cried. Chong and Mo quickly rushed to comfort her. Dr. Lu, it's really fine, truly. Thank you regardless. I've already reported my decision to the higher-ups. The results should be coming soon. Also, there's something else you should know. Both you and I will join the Donghai Emotional Authorities Pursuit Unit, investigating the attack on Ward B. And it's not just you. Jechi and Chunji will join too. The Black Chain Cult, the mole inside the Donghai Authority, and everyone hiding in the shadows. Chong Mo will drag every single one of them out and deliver justice to the fallen. After speaking, Dr. Lu opened the door. All right, she said. I'll go explain things to Jechi and Shinju and come back later. The door closed, and the room fell silent once more. Chong Mo stared at his hands. Lost in thought, why has my power turned into this? I can't release flames, can't form crystals. It's soft like jelly, Yeli muttered, staring at his hand, puzzled. Something's off. Getting soft is normal. But why can't it get hard at all? Then, her eyes lit up. Tada. I get it. At this stage, it becomes soft too. Chong Emma was utterly speechless. What are you even talking about? Yeli covered her mouth, giggling. What? What did you think I meant? She then laid it all out. Simply put, you're absolutely starving. Chong Mo still looked utterly bewildered. Yeli burst out laughing, a hearty haha, escaping her. Exactly. Your emotional needs fuel just like anything else. And if you don't eat enough, of course your power won't strengthen. Chong Mo was speechless once more. Why is that so funny? Aren't you a little too excited yourself? Yelly waved her hand dismissively. Okay, all right, but seriously now. An emotional constantly burns energy just by existing. Even without fighting, it's like how people need to eat every single day. And the stronger the emotional, the more energy it burns. Think of how a bodybuilder eats way more than a regular person. For you, the will chains from the second hospital are your emotional energy source. Yelly continued. In the final battle at the second hospital, you absorbed a huge amount of rational energy and almost lost control. But the fact that you stabilized means you actually leveled up. You're now a stronger type of emotional. And the stronger you get, the more energy you burn each day. Chongyamo asked, so as long as absorb the rational energy from the will chains, my power will return to normal? Yelly replied, that's the idea. But it's not that easy. In this era where rationality is scarce, rational energy is incredibly hard to come by, and your appetite is way bigger now. Before, one chain could sustain you for 2 months if you didn't fight. Now, maybe 3 weeks, tops. And worse still, if you stay hungry for too long. At best, your strength won't manifest. At worst, your power will regress. Your mind will fade, and eventually you'll dissolve into nothingness. Just like me. Did you forget? I became like this because I couldn't find enough emotional energy.